The Driving While Awesome podcast is recorded live to SD card at the Beeline Motor Club in Santa Cruz, California.
Welcome to Driving While Awesome, part of the Haggerty Podcast Network. My name is Warren.
I'm Lane.
And I'm Art.
Here you go. Hey!
Good timing.
Uh-oh. Now the listeners have just crashed their cars. Good timing. How come you guys didn't call out my hat yet?
Why? Because Niners won? Why would I call it out, dude?
This is the worst hat ever.
It's not that bad. It's kind of sweet, dude.
I'm wearing a 49ers hat for the listeners. If you're watching on YouTube, you would know that. But
the stripes are cool.
Dude, I don't see. Let me see. Look this way.
This is a full.
the other way.
The other side is the bad part.
That's pretty
full
sweet.
freebie from my friend who works for the Niners. He had like a car full of gear. It was all like triple XL and horrible.
I mean, it's like
stuff.
a child's hat, but it's not.
Dude, you guys didn't say anything.
Well,
I figured it'd be the first thing you'd say.
I don't know. I was looking at your watch. I like your watch.
hate this hat. Thanks,
What's that watch?
That's a $25 Casio.
Oh, that's pretty sick.
Yeah, thanks,
really?
man.
$25?
It's crazy.
Casio?
I don't know how they do it. I really don't.
Quartz.
That one's
Yeah,
cool,
so-
dude.
I mean, it's quartz as hell, but
yeah, of course it's quartz, but of course it's quartz. It's quartz. But this one's quartz too. These are like 110 or something.
I got one of those. Those are cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Niners. Go Niners, right?
Dude, go Niners.
Nothing
Yeah.
finer than
They
a
won, I
49er.
heard. I didn't even know they were playing.
Ball sticking balls, huh?
Yeah.
Art?
I like that dude.
Good.
I think you reposted it too, but I saw it. The dude just rolling around on that like couch thing.
Dude, it was like a recliner, a motorized
Niners.
recliner.
Yeah.
And he had like an
Oh, it was on
food.
Foo. It was on Foo's Gone Wild.
Oh,
it
was
was
it?
like, where's this Foo going?
Oh, really?
You know,
Was it?
That
whatever.
was the Super Bowl is where he's
Yeah.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was
They had
good.
the Foo's Gone Wild had a bunch of Niners stuff that day. It's pretty good.
Now
And then
next-
you hear you
next
see
week.
Tony Hawk shout out to Foo's Gone Wild.
Oh, really?
He said the higher the stocks are down on the Foo, and then he said that's from Foo's Gone Wild, and then Foo's Gone Wild like reposted it, and
Of
they're
course.
like, damn, this is the guy we idolize forever, you know? This,
A down ass homie.
yeah, they're like, he's a down ass fool. All this stuff.
I saw
Sweet.
a non. It wasn't Food's Gone Wild, but it was an adjacent account.
Oh my god!
What the hell?
The play-by-play. Lane
Lane's having a
just
stroke
poured all of his beer on his chest for no
How
reason.
did they do that? I think I have a
pretty
hole
sweet.
in my lip.
Is
or
it
something.
frozen?
That was pretty solid, dude.
The mountains are blue.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
But dude, that was
Coors
that
Light.
was- I just literally went like,
You just totally a total miss.
Yeah,
Total miss.
dude.
Just poured it onto his chest.
I think he just took over for like maybe the most egregious.
That was
You've
pretty-
had some accidents, but that was
yeah,
That was just a
but
fail.
drink-
His were just accidents. Mine was like,
I think you were so excited to
Forgot
hear
where my mouth was.
I think you're so excited to hear my story about
I
this.
know. I was
Yeah.
pretty stoked.
Basically,
on
it was
Yeah.
just a dude at the gym wearing like fresh white tee, the Dickies,
super
whatever.
long tee.
Yeah. And he had one of those like, I don't know, like the bands, where it's like weighted. And he was just doing this one like basically like kind of like a chest, like, what's up, fool? Like this.
He's doing
Like,
like
what's
that.
up,
Like, what's
fool?
up?
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it was just that like motion, like, and he had like the angle of,
Nice, dude.
It was cool.
It's tight.
There's, yeah, there's one of those. I don't know what it's called, but it's from Germany. It's some guys at a gym, and they will get close together and then point at something, and then like it shows someone doing a weird ass workout, like doing like just like really poor, like using all the machinery
yeah.
wrong and shit.
Yeah.
And then they go and do it themselves, and it's really funny.
There's some rad
I have to
ones.
find it, but yeah, there's like one where this guy's like he's like working out his neck, and then all of a sudden every machine they use, they like do a neck thing, and it's pretty fun. Fun
Speaking
times.
of Foo's Gone Wild, I was in your old stomping grounds,
Órale.
Watsonville.
You saw
and
my old car, possibly.
It's hard to say. It's definitely possible. I was on Paulson and Green Valley.
Okay.
Do you know where that is?
Yeah,
Little
way out
Cuddy?
there.
A little Cuddy?
Yeah, well, Paulson Road is the one that I mentioned a while back because that got washed out years ago.
Yeah,
One
so
of the
it was
floods.
closed. We
Yeah.
were going that way, and it just was blocked off. And I could see down the road, and it was so flooded. There was like ducks just hanging out
Nice.
over the road.
Yeah.
So that was out, but that's where that car was.
Okay.
So
out there, yeah.
yeah,
I lived out there. My dad used to have a house off of Green
Dude.
Valley, man.
see.
Mesa Village, dog.
Oh,
Hell yeah, huh?
dude.
Over there.
Pinto Lake, what's up?
Pinto Lake.
Exactly, yeah, Pinto
You know,
Lake.
my parents almost bought a house on Pinto Lake when I was a kid.
No
Oh,
way.
that would have been nice.
Harvest Moon. Remember the little store there?
That would've
No, I
been-
don't remember
Oh, it's still
that.
there.
Yeah, it's still there.
Still
Oh,
there.
sweet. That was like the spot where you buy your marbles and stuff. You get your
Of course.
all that kind
It's a
of.
sweet little spot.
Remember people
Chiclets?
used to like windsurf on Pinto Lake.
Oh really? Yeah, my dad's. I remember like
Dang.
one of like the earliest memories I have is like listening to my dad speak to his friend was like about like people like swimming across the lake and like getting on a log, and like the water used to be really clean, and like
By the way, for the listeners that aren't familiar, Pinto Lake is very small. It's like,
and it's also but it's also very like it's just like not polluted, but it's just like just filled with like algae and nastiness, right? So
That's
it's like,
funny. Yeah, I remember it was like a nice like recreational lake.
right. I wouldn't be surprised.
now there's a
like
disc golf course there. I've never played it.
That's
runoff
cool.
and
It
stuff.
does exist though.
That's some hyper local
Hyper.
inside baseball.
You guys want to answer some questions?
Yeah,
Ready?
let's do it.
Okay, let's do it. Thomas Park says, I remember that feeling when I purchased my first Mark II Scirocco. It felt like I had finally caught my white whale. I suppose I've been chasing that feeling with every subsequent car purchase ever since, but I digress. Anyway, what car purchase or purchases gave you the best new car high when you finally purchased one of your dream cars or caught your white whale?
Wow.
I'll start. I don't have that feeling very often. I don't know why, but
He doesn't have feelings.
I don't really have feelings. I have robot feelings. But when I was 20, how old was I? 22, 23. I bought a Volvo V70R, and it was like my first like adult purchase. You know, I had to get a loan and fly to LA and look at this car and drive it back. And that was probably it, because I love those cars, you know, for so long, and then I was able to actually buy one and have it. So it didn't live up to the hype though. So
That's a hard one.
It was the
But
whole
you had
process.
that feeling for a while though, where you were like, you would look at it and clean it. And,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, you were into
And
it.
I was super into those cars, you know, like armchair quarterback style, like, you know, knew all the stats, and it was like the one I wanted. And at
Used
the time
to
it
bench
was
race people.
yeah. And at the time it was only like a 5-year-old car,
Yeah.
and it was, you know, expensive when new, $45,000 or whatever, but I think I paid 18 grand or something, which is
a lot of money, dude.
typical Volvo.
Yeah, but a lot of money
Lot of
back
money.
then.
Yeah.
I remember when you had that car.
Yeah. Anything come to mind for you? Chasing whales?
Dude, I still remember like a lot of car purchases like stand out in my mind as pretty strong, you know, big ones. But I remember my 914 was a big one,
And
even though it was like $1,000 car.
yeah, but it was a real like sports car.
Yeah, it was like buying the 914. It was like having a Porsche, and it felt like such an old car. It was like, even though it was 97 that I bought it, and it was a 74, so it wasn't that old.
Right.
But it felt like even now, like buying a 914, I don't know, it felt like the same.
Yeah.
You know? And it felt really old, and it had this like history to it, and I was like, oh, this old man owned it, and I wonder, you know, like, I don't know, it just had this feeling to it, and it had the smells and all that stuff. So
Were you really into 914s before?
no,
you bought it?
I wasn't, dude. And I remember my dad was like totally hater about it.
Huh.
He's like, it's like a Volkswagen.
Oh, right. I could see that. Like if you were around when they came out and you're a 911 guy or whatever.
Yeah.
And then it comes out, you're like, whatever.
Yeah, and I bought it, and I don't know, it just kind of turned me into a 914 guy, I guess.
Yeah.
So yeah, that one that was probably like the biggest feels, I would say.
Yeah, I like it.
Most memorable. Yeah, I mean, there's a couple that they're different stages, but the first one would be my first DC2 GSR. So that was a 96. And that was like in college, like being like broke, like having a lot of like just like kind of like beat up CRXs that I would fix up, and you know, Civic SIs and stuff. And then I got like my first really nice car, and that one was like super nice. It had a bunch of mods. I bought it modified, and I ended up modifying even more, but I kept it clean, pretty OEM plus looking.
Do you remember what you paid for it?
I can't remember. Yeah, it was like top dollar at the time, though. I remember I saved up for it, and I literally... So I sold the red CRX that you posted, the 87.
Yeah.
It was an 87 CRX SI at Dave & Buster's in Milpitas, I think it was. I met up with the guy at the parking lot, sold it there, and met up with the guy with the GSR there and bought the GSR right there. So I put that money into that right away, and I think it was like $5-ish grand, something like that. And it was a higher mileage car, 170,000 miles or something like that. But it was a really, really clean car. It was black with a gray interior. And that was like just such a big difference, having from like, especially coming from a lot of 80s cars, that had, the very square dashes, just feeling like
very
more
modern,
as you're saying, older and colder. And like, I jumped into that and it felt so much warmer and more insulated, and the AC worked, and like all of these things, like ironically I'm talking about warmth, but I bought it at night and I remember it being cold, and I remember just going into that and being like much more cosseted, and that was a big one. And that was definitely a car that I would go into go outside and look at it, or just want to go in it and go for a drive by myself, like in the middle of the night for no reason, just to go experience the car. There's that stage. And then the next one for sure was my 993. Like that one was a big thing, kind of how you're describing. Like
that's what my guess would have been.
Yeah, like also a car that I always wanted since high school, and I finally am able to afford one. I found it after looking for a long time. I looked for at least a year for that specific color combination, and flew up to Oregon. I found it. I remember like it was one of those things. I was like at work or something, and like I found it on Craigslist, and I'm like, that's the car. I called my wife. I'm like, I got to buy this car. Like, I called them. They wanted X. I offered something. They accepted. Bought a ticket that day. Flew that, I think, later that evening, and then actually ended up driving it back home. And that was a really cool journey to like, especially go with my wife and stop at like good restaurants along the way, and like took some fun pictures, and like with Mount Shasta in the background. And it was a really memorable trip, and it was a really awesome car, and also a big step up from before, right?
Yeah.
Like, I mean, like twice as much as I had ever paid for a car, and all that. So that was really cool.
I like it. Fuchs 911 says, what car designs do you see in other cars? I see a lot of Malibu Max and Lane's Polestar.
It's offensive.
It's true though. It's got the same kind of basic roof line.
I see more what is it called? Scion.
Like a Scion TC.
TC.
Yeah,
I could see
more
that.
like that, because it's chunkier.
Yeah,
whereas
yeah.
like the Max, like, because it's a 4-door and it has a small hatchback, right?
Well,
like
no,
it's like a little.
it's a slant, but then it also has a little flat trunk kind of
It does?
area. I mean, not much.
I remember
It's
them being hideous.
They're not that bad.
Yeah.
They're a weird
I
car,
see a
though.
lot of TC in it.
Yeah,
but then obviously it has tons of Volvo in it too.
I could TC that.
Yeah.
You know what I see in the ones that always stand out to me, and it's so like copying someone else's homework, is the Kias of the early 2000s.
Oh, yeah,
copying
for sure.
Mercedes-Benz.
Yeah.
E-Class and the ML, they made their cars like identical, but also like strangely cartoonish. They couldn't copy them exactly, obviously, but it's all the design cues are the same, and that's something that really bothers me.
Yeah.
a weird one.
I would say what's the one that looks like, is it a Hyundai that looks like a 456?
Oh, it's a Tiburon.
Tiburon, yeah.
Yep.
Looks like a Ferrari 456.
Oh, yeah, I know what you're
Definitely.
talking about.
And it's not bad. Not bad.
And it's not
looking.
bad looking because it looks like a 456.
Beautiful car.
I mean, there's a lot, dude.
There's a lot.
Like, we can go down, like, there's little elements of like a lot of cars in other cars. And
I mean, now like the supercars of our current crop are all sort of similar in
it's
a
kind of
lot
like
of ways.
music, right? You can't like make
I know.
anything new. So you're kind of like drawing inspiration from everything. So
Especially with like current design parameters, you have to account for certain things. And
so we have this EQS AMG, and someone said it looks just like my 2012 Civic,
and it totally
you can
does.
totally see that. It's a very, very like half circle kind
Greenhouse.
of profile,
It's
greenhouse,
just
kind of falls off.
roof line.
Mhm.
Yeah.
and very what's the new hot electric car, whatever that thing, the Bauhaus looking thing.
The Lucid.
Anyways, lucid, very lucid.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
well, yeah, it's an aerodynamic thing, right? I mean, it's like supposed to be super low, like drag.
Yeah, maybe,
friction,
but I mean, I think more than anything, it's just a shape they chose, right?
I don't know. They say it's got like a super low drag coefficient.
definitely
or something.
does.
I know,
It's like
but
because of that.
Teslas do too, right?
The Tesla might be the lowest, I think,
Yeah.
actually. So I feel like there's I mean, this is something that we talked about before, but these days you look at any sedan, right? And you can kind of block the lower half, and they almost all have like from the belt line up, like the roof line is very similar. Like they're all so interchangeable.
And I think, like you were just saying, aerodynamics has a big part of that. And I think that's why companies are doing the weird little like mascara line, like Honda does the
floating
mascara
C-pillar
line,
thing.
or
They're just trying
floating
to-
C-pillar. They're trying to differentiate themselves somehow, and a lot of times those attempts are just look like add-on bullshit. Don't look great.
Yeah.
It was definitely apparent after the Bengal 7 Series every car company went to
Toyota
that,
Camry,
that floating trunk.
that like the haunch, the fend, and then going up.
S-Class even copied it.
S-Class, yeah.
Honda Accord, all of them. It was very strange.
Yeah. No, the Mitsubishi Diamante also reminds me of like a 5 Series kind of, but it's more like the late 90s, early 2000s one, I guess, maybe, or maybe late 90s. It has kind of like a 5 Series, like an E34-ish kind of like a little more modern, smoothed out look, but it always reminded me of that. And it's got it's got the round headlights, but they're inside of like a housing.
I think I've seen more F40s on the street than Diamantes in the last 5 years.
I know, right? Seriously. It was actually, the early ones were pretty good looking.
They're very
cars.
good looking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember when the AMG like GTs came out, they were very 911-y.
Oh,
Like
right.
that rear kind
yeah,
of.
it always reminded me of a 928. Like a
928.
yeah.
Yeah.
Like a modern 928.
Eamon Shaw says, since Art's R33 is not going to be his forever car, take some guesses on what will replace it within the near future. I don't know if it's going to be near future. I hope not in a lot of ways, but he's also watching the market and counting his ducks and chickens.
But the thing in the near, he needs to replace his daily, his ZHP first. So that means that he's going to hold on to
Can
the
we
GTR
talk about that for a
longer.
second?
Sure.
I really think you need a modern-ish car for that replacement.
Me too.
But you're talking about like old 5
not an
Series.
E36
not
wagon.
even. No, I wasn't.
I thought
You threw in that E34.
well, I found it because I was on eBay looking for wagons.
Oh, I
And
thought
so
you
that
were like,
popped up.
I'm looking everywhere for cars, and you sent that as like, this is a car I'm
so
looking
I was
at.
actually on eBay looking for the whatever the F80 body style. I forget what the wagon's called, F81, I think, right? I want an Estral blue one, and they're really hard to find. But and so I'm always looking for BMW. I just do BMW wagon, and then whatever pops up, I just like to see what's out there,
right?
And that one popped up, but yeah, no, I definitely want a modern daily, for sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what's Art going to replace the Skyline with?
It's a
Dude, it's so hard, man. I think it.
That is hard.
I could see 355
You know
still
what?
on the table. If like they're going down in value, if they're going down a little bit, if they're not like super hot,
Yeah.
I think that's a good option.
What about like the nicest, most perfectly modified AE86?
No,
Dang, not a replacement.
No,
I would replace my E30.
That's like an add-on. Yeah.
Yeah, with that, but that would be like an E30 replacement.
He needs to replace like for like, or at least like that power for power kind of thing. 355 I think is my top, and then I could see like a wild card would be like a 997 GT3 or something like that.
997 GT3.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, like manual 0.2 or something.
Yeah,
Like Rubens,
or
basically.
0.1s are good. Dude.
Yeah, 0.1. Yeah, I was thinking about that recently. I'm like, I don't know, dude. Like, not necessarily getting that car, but just like how there's only one 911 that I want, and like, and I still want a 964 turbo, and those are just like they're just so out of
unobtainium.
They're super rare, so they're not gonna do like that much of a drop.
Yeah, so I mean, definitely F355 is always on the back of my mind. It's like a box I need to check. Yeah. But yeah, I feel like 964s. I mean, there's angles, right? It's like, okay, you can pay half of it and then finance the rest or something, but it's like, it's just too, it's like, whatever. I mean,
yeah, you can finance it.
You can, for sure. It's just, I think something has to click and it does happen, right? Where it's like, all right, like I really want to experience that thing. And like, this thing is, I feel like I'm done with it.
It'd be pretty fun. Pretty fun.
Yeah. Right now I still, there's, no desire there. I feel like there's, as Lane's saying, there's other fish to fry right now. That's not even a thought at this point.
Yeah. Got to fry those fish first.
Yeah.
All right. Ross815 says, what's the best, in your opinion, VR6 equipped car? Obviously, a lighter weight Golf would be fun, but I also love a slammed A3 hatch with the VR6. What would be the best non-VW chassis you would swap a VR6 into?
Jeez, man. I've only driven... Dude, I think I've driven one car with a VR6 ever.
Whoa.
Really?
I mean, so what did they...
Corrado?
GTI?
They came, and then they also came in like some Volkswagens, right?
Jettas.
Some like SUVs and stuff too.
Still in
using
the
VR6.
My Cayenne.
I was just going to say,
there
in the
you go.
Cayenne.
I've never driven a 6-cylinder Cayenne.
Yep.
I've driven a Mark III Jetta. That's the only VR6 I've ever driven with a manual. Meredith Corwin.
Oh. Might be the best one.
Those are good, dude.
Yeah, I drove a Mark III GTI yellow VR6.
They're great looking.
I did Santa Barbara Hills in it.
Oh, nice.
Scared the shit out of the owner.
Dude, they were super torquey. I liked it a lot.
They're
when I
great.
drove it.
I really like that
I don't
motor.
mind them.
But
I don't know what the best car is for it.
Best
I would
car,
never swap it.
definitely the Volkswagen Beetle RSI, guys. Come on.
I like
That's
that.
the coolest fucking thing.
That is the coolest thing.
250 cars, carbon fiber interior, like
Yeah.
real carbon fiber doors,
Yeah.
carbon fiber buckets.
Are those all white or what
No,
are
all
they?
silver, and they had
Okay.
orange leather seats or something. They were like super funky.
And those have the spoiler on the
They
back
had the
and
big
stuff.
spoiler
So sick.
and really big square body. Like,
Dude.
dude, those
Yeah.
are so rad. And they
Yeah.
made 250 of them. We never saw them here. And just like today or yesterday, someone, I think Piston Heads or something, posted one, and I saw that Ali.
Dude,
reposted
Ali
it.
just sent it to me too.
Yeah, so Ali reposted it, and I commented on Ali's post, or on his story, and I'm like, dude, like, I was thinking about like how much of a dick Farah was to Matt Crook when he was on his show. And Matt Crook was
yeah.
like, dude, I really want one of those. And
Yeah.
Farah's like laughing at him, like, what
Yeah,
the fuck are you
yeah,
talking
yeah.
about? It's a piece of shit. And I was like, and I immediately texted Matt Crook when I heard the show. I'm like, dude, I'm right there with you, dude. High five, virtual high five. They're so fucking
Yeah.
cool. And it's got the 4Motion on, it's all wheel drive,
Yeah.
like VR6. It's the 3.2, so it's the one that ended up in the Audi TT and the R30 and the Mark IV R32 here. So like, those are so rad.
Those are cool.
Yeah, and it's a homologated race car. Like they were for the Beetle Cup. That's probably the coolest, I think. I had a VR6 Corrado and SLC, and it was awesome. I mean, I really enjoyed it. I've driven a Jetta and a Golf as well.
Yep.
But yeah,
I've probably driven all like that generation Passats
I never drove a Passat.
but I can't think of anything I'd want to put a VR6 into. I'm not really a swap guy, so
Yeah, I mean it's a good engine. So, but I'm trying to think of some rear wheel drive platform that would work with it.
Longitudinal. That would be awesome to do it that way.
like you can't do Vanagons or anything like that. It doesn't work. Yeah, I don't know.
Dude,
Nothing comes to mind.
what about a 944 lane?
Flip.
3.2.
Flip it and reverse it.
Yeah. I mean, it'd probably be fun. That's cool. I mean, I guess the power band's probably pretty close and everything to that, but just
with
more,
like more, well, had more
more
horsepower.
torquey and more powerful. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't even want it in like a Mark II GTI or because they do that, even Mark Ones, and it's just so nose heavy. It's just
I like having a
like a
four cylinder.
light- lightness. M Doms is asking where your NSX is today because you posted that as the photo.
I don't know. If I look for the Tay Wolf hashtag. See if it
Does
shows up.
Dude, I thought Alex
does
has it.
Alex
He
still
sold
own
it.
it?
Oh, he sold it.
Yeah, he sold it maybe right before COVID, I think.
Sad.
Yeah, so I have no
Okay.
idea. I don't know where it is now.
Steve _ says,
Don't like that.
my son just turned 16. Happy birthday. And we were shopping for his first car. Let's set the budget at $12,000. What are your opinions? The nicest
$12,000,
GTI or
man.
Golf you can find.
Mark III VR6 GTI. We were just talking about that.
Mark V GTI.
Yeah, that's a good word. Place to start.
That's a really good car. Like a really fun chassis. Pretty safe, pretty modern.
Yep.
I think that's a good place to go.
Pretty good start.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is there any,
and good practicality and nice boot to put stuff.
yeah, I'd want to know more about his lifestyle. Is he into sports? Is
he
he
a
a
truck guy?
camper?
Is he like-
yeah.
yeah.
And is he like a wild child? Does he need to be tamed? Like maybe you do get him the Lexus SUV instead of the sports car.
You get them an RX
right.
350 or
Yeah.
something.
But I think the nicest GTI you can find is a really awesome place to start. Wouldn't be bad.
Yeah, for
Hatchback,
sure.
seats fold down flat,
Yeah.
good on gas. You can kind of work on them if you're handy and all that stuff. So anything else? 12K.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would like to know as you're describing, like what is he even into cars? I don't know. Like,
Right.
I mean, like there's all that, right?
Because then you could just get a used Nissan Leaf.
that would be a very practical car, very utilitarian.
Yeah.
My TSX was kind of like a cool car, but those things have awful side
Crash
ratings.
Kind of poor MPGs.
Not very good.
And
gas
they're
mileage.
hard to find now that aren't just
and they're all
totally
tattered. Besides mine, I would say a TL, the same generation. I think those are really good looking cars, with that dent, that nice character line down the side. But those again are like impossible to find in
Very
nice
hard.
condition. Mm-hmm. But I think with 12K,
Yeah, I'm like
I don't
trying
know.
to think. I was
mean, you're
going
into,
more
like,
like
modern
LS
stuff, too.
like LS 430 or something like that, where it's like
Bad on gas.
but very safe, comfortable,
Very
like,
safe, yeah.
You can fit all
But
your
also
friends
like
in it.
easy to crash into stuff in parking lots and backing out of
Yeah,
stuff. And
hard to maneuver.
it's big. It's a big car with
Big
like
car.
a lot of blind spots.
Big,
Can't
huh?
see over everything. It's big, huh?
Huh? You don't think it's big?
From the driver to the rear corner, that's a long
Yeah, yeah.
distance.
You got to think first car, you know?
Yeah,
They're
that-
constantly
that
parking
was
lot-
the move, right? You get your kid like a Plymouth Valiant. Back
Well, that's
in the day.
because
It's
like grandma gave you one or something.
a
But
big old boat.
yeah. Otherwise, it's like the kind of truck SUV angle. But
Dude, like the best RX 300 in the world would
I
be
know.
pretty sick.
That's
dude.
pretty
that's
perfect.
That's like
it's not going to leave you
really
hanging.
good. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I think
It's
that's
so
some
funny.
answers.
I'm so like, because I'm thinking about my daughter's 13 and a half or something.
Jeez.
And it's like, you just want to get them something like super safe, super reliable.
Yeah.
Right.
And decent on gas. Like,
Yeah.
that's another angle, right?
Yeah.
So maybe like Civic SI.
But really,
the
it
nicest
kinda-
Civic SI you can find.
I don't know if gas even really matters because I don't want her to leave Santa Cruz. Like, I don't
Oh,
want her
that's
to drive that much anyway.
I guess if she's
so-
going to have it longer than you're paying the bills, that
Yeah.
she's going to have to work and pay for gas. It's like,
Yeah, but I feel like I think
you wouldn't
it's
want to
like-
get her like
I think
a
it's
Land
like
Cruiser.
I think it's like a 3-year car. You
okay.
know?
But you want to get her a Land Cruiser that gets 12
No,
miles per
definitely
gallon,
not.
even
Yeah.
though it's the safest thing and
Yeah.
super reliable. But that's a
Just get him a
Tougher
Prius,
choice.
is what you're saying. Yeah,
can't do that. Don't do that.
It's probably not a horrible call.
Honda Fit. That's another one. Nicest Honda
How's
Fit. You can get for 12
how's
grand.
the safety rating on that bad boy?
Not great at highway, but everything else is okay. Good for parking lot maneuverability.
Yeah.
They're probably safer than you think, but not as safe as
I don't know, dude. If
Some
the
stuff.
TSX was bad, it's like
I know.
Hmm.
But 12 grand gets you like a pretty modern Fit, and
For
they've
sure.
gotten better.
yeah.
Yeah, it's
That's
funny
it,
because
yeah.
we're thinking kind of older cars, and you could get like a 4-year-old
Dude,
Civic or a
I think
Nissan
you can get like a Chevy Cruze for like $2,000.
Yeah.
Probably like a 3-year-old one or something.
Are you into that?
No.
Dude, yeah, or even like the Mazda option, right? Like a Mazda 3 would probably be
Mazda
great.
3 's
Yeah,
a great-
Mazda 3s are great.
Yeah.
That's a great call.
There's
too.
you're right. That's
and
a
they're
good
not very
call.
expensive. They're pretty safe. They
Yeah.
handle while they drive well, right? The visibility
And they look pretty good.
Yeah.
pretty good.
I would stay
Hatchback.
away from like, I think the newer Corollas look good, but those are probably too new to be that cheap.
Yep.
The generation before is ugly, and so I would stay away from that.
The
Honda
Mazda
Civics is a
3
little tough because like they're kind of ugly.
Yeah.
I don't know the newer ones.
The nicest Mazda 3 you could find is a good call. Yeah. All right. I think we did pretty good there. SF Production Gabe says, what car would be a bad match for manual transmission, and what car would be a bad match for an automatic transmission? Well, I think I know what he's trying to do here.
I mean, bad match for a manual transmission is like,
A Land Cruiser.
yeah, a Land Cruiser or a Lexus LS 430
This is something
Yeah.
big and heavy. That
or a
is
Lexus
especially not
RX
sporting,
or
right?
A new-
not
I-
sporting.
Like a new S-Class with a manual does not sound appealing at
No.
all. It sounds plebeian and low spec.
Well, the funny thing is that they had manual S classes in the 80s,
Of course.
which is so
Yeah, we never
it's
got
pretty
them.
rad. I mean, like, but
But that's when they had like a diesel 6-cylinder and
dude, I don't know, man. I feel like there's a lot of there was a lot of weird options out there that you ended up with, like
taxis
taxis,
yeah,
exactly.
they were.
Yeah,
In
in
Europe,
Iran.
they're all taxis.
or even in Germany
in Germany
Yeah.
or Turkey,
or even Greece,
maybe.
Cyprus?
Even-
I
yeah.
mean, Croatia,
Croatia,
yeah,
Serbia,
Slovakia,
Czech Republic,
Hungary,
Hungary too. Yeah,
Estonia,
Armenia,
even
Estonia for
Austria.
sure, Poland,
Azerbaijan.
yeah.
Turkmenistan.
So I think the
That one?
bad one with an automatic is something that's very anemic, like a Honda Fit, probably.
It's true.
Like
I
a
mean,
little anemic car that
Yeah,
you need to have that
I mean, like
manual to kind of like stick it in a gear. You
Yeah.
know,
it definitely helps. Like a 240 diesel Mercedes is not better with an automatic, in my opinion. You need to like be able to row
yeah.
through those gears as much as possible.
Yeah. When you need to control the power, the power band more, right?
Yeah,
And-
the answer doesn't work as well for hypercar stuff. Like you could say, okay, McLaren F1, but if it had a decent automatic, to be honest, like you could make that work. It's
It'd
like
be
so
cool,
much
yeah,
torque. It wouldn't be as obviously not as fun and cool, but you could make a case
Yeah.
for it.
I mean, think about what automatic would have been, and then at the time it would be fucking horrible. Like,
Well,
I mean,
it'd
just
be like
relative to like
the BMW equivalent of whatever's in there.
Yeah,
you know,
blow up
series.
after 12,000
Yeah.
miles.
Yeah, well, yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I go back and forth on, like the 928s pop up a lot, right? Like that's like one that teeters on that. Like people say that the
I
automatic.
really don't think it does, dude. I think
You're a
it's-
manual guy in the
yeah.
928.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's like saying a 6 Series would be better with an automatic,
Like an E24.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wonder
It,
what
like
about
not in any way, or even a 5 Series, an E34 or an
Right.
or an E28, like M5. Would that be better with an auto? No.
No, yeah.
The only reason it works with the 928 is because it's super torquey V8, right? Like so you could say like a 500 SEC.
Right.
So I could see that actually, and that's so much less sporting. Those are way less sporting than a 928 too.
Yeah. Although a manual transmission 500E seems like it would be rad.
A
Like
500E.
Yeah, 500E. Yeah. Like I feel like it's still small enough and like it's
Yeah.
still
I mean,
athletic, right?
That would
So-
make it more fun for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
And it wouldn't be a detriment versus like we're trying to figure out, like what is it? What would be worse? I
Dude,
think
that
we
would
nailed
make
it
that
already
car
with
worth twice as much. Too.
Yeah. I'm sure there's some Rentec ones out there that were done that are very valuable.
Marco No says, what to do when you see a car with their headlights off at night? I give them a few high beam flashes, but typically they're oblivious.
Dude, I've had this like several times in the last couple of weeks.
Was it a Nissan?
It's usually Nissan Altimas.
He says, why is it always a Nissan?
Maximas.
So there's like an old old wives' tale or whatever you want to call it, but in Salinas there was some gang that was doing this, and if you flashed at them, they would shoot you.
That sounds like an urban legend.
Yeah.
That's what I was looking for. Urban myth.
So now you never shoot anyone. I mean, you never flash anyone.
No,
'cause you
I
don't wanna
just
get
let
shot.
them do their thing, dude. Especially if it's a Nissan.
Yeah, especially. Yeah, I always do the same. Yeah, I flash the shit out of them, and hopefully they get it.
But it's hard when you're like behind them or something. You see their lights aren't on.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I
that's what
see-
you pull.
That's the way I've had it lately. It's like they're
yeah, it's
like
pitch
there was
black.
a car going on they were going on the fast lane,
And
they're
they're
like 80 miles an hour with no headlights on.
So you know what it is now? It's people with daytime running lights that all the interior
Yeah, I know.
lights are on, and you can kind of see headlights, and
Right.
you just can't tell that it's not
So
on.
the one I saw the other day though, it was like a Nissan Altima or something, like an older.
Yeah.
And it was just pitch black. You couldn't, no lights on, no
Well,
daytime
that's
running
just
lights,
drunk. That's
and
just drunk.
you couldn't.
Yeah,
it was
that's-
hard to
that's
see
the
the
thing.
car coming up. It was sketch.
That's sketch.
dude.
Yeah, that's why what you do as Warren, you wear your red hat as he's wearing, and then you roll up next to him and you say, "Hey, your lights! Hey,
Yeah.
your light." Like this. You yell at him through the glass, and then
Make
that's
the
You go
gun-
Trump
gun
20
sign.
whatever.
Yeah.
That's how you get shot.
Headlights. That's what I was gonna do.
yeah. What about the 911 people that flash each other? Do you do that? That was
No.
like a thing, like back
Well,
in the day.
dude, that's with every car. I
Well,
think.
many drivers, like especially early in the
But that's a peace
2006,
sign, right?
was a piece.
So Porsche, it's just Porsche drivers.
Porsche drivers.
Give each other a
Look,
wink.
this
Dang,
little
dude.
P.
911 to a 944. I don't know.
Yeah,
That
yeah.
would probably wouldn't happen.
Yeah, it happens all the time,
914
dude.
to a 9.
It happens all the time,
959.
dude. Or a little, hey,
All
how
day.
you doing? Jeep people do it,
Dude, I
to
saw
each
when I
other.
was driving your Polestar. I saw another Polestar, but I
yeah.
ignored him though.
Why?
I just looked straight.
I would do that driving Sarah's Lexus.
You're supposed to go like do that.
Oh.
Little-
Driving Sarah's Lexus, I would always do this. Like,
Hell yeah,
and never once did I get a reply.
Yeah.
they're so oblivious.
They're
dude.
so over.
Like,
And now I try to
those
do it
people.
in my Tundra
You're like,
because
what are
there's
you
like
doing?
every Tundra, there's like 7,000 Tundras, and I'm like, yeah, dude, and they just
Nothing.
whatever, dude. John Rise says, what are some of your favorite rad era brands that couldn't follow it up in the 2000s? Car companies, shoes, fast food chain, anything you want to pick. Who's fallen off since the 90s?
Dude,
At
there's-
first I read this as bands, and I was trying to think of that, but
There's one that
Yeah.
fell off, and they made a. I just learned that they're back, baby. They're back.
what?
Gotcha.
Gotcha's back.
I seen Gotcha back.
They're back,
Yeah,
dude. It's like
Interesting.
pretty
yeah.
fresh,
Oh, I haven't
It's
seen
pretty
it.
fresh,
dude.
Yeah.
Gotcha was sick.
What
dude.
about
Yeah, they
Fila?
could. Fila's been around.
Fila?
Dude, where? But they're.
I
like,
think they just went to Ross, and,
Yeah,
and same with Champion.
and K-Swiss. Well,
And-
Champion's
like
hardcore.
in-
No, I know, but
Yeah.
Champion was Ross for a while.
Yeah,
It was like
that's
just
when I was
cheap
into it.
shit.
I was into-
and then now they're all big and
Yeah.
people want them actually.
Oh yeah, for sure. Same with Carhartt, stuff like that. But
Mm-hmm.
K-Swiss, big
K-Swiss?
90s out.
I was never
BK
into it.
Knight.
That was like 80s, but yeah, early 90s.
Well, that's what you said. Or,
Stussy.
I
What
guess
about
I
Stussy?
said 90s.
They come and go.
They came back.
I don't think
Are they around?
They're back now.
Stussy's
but,
rad.
But in
dude, the
2000s
logo.
they weren't.
Yeah, they weren't.
died
So they're
off.
just now.
And it's all these brands that are kind of like, it's this 80s and 90s
I mean,
stuff, dude.
Yeah.
Car companies. I mean, that's tough. Like, what was really out there that's gone? You know, Saturn.
I mean, Mitsubishi, right? Like
Pontiac.
there was like they died a horrible death. Like
No, but
still
we're
going.
saying that. Yeah, they're still going.
but
dude.
I
you're
mean,
right.
not
You're
as like
right.
a respectable brand.
No,
right?
no, they had the
There's-
cars we wanted in the
Right.
90s, and now it's like just nothing.
Yeah.
More like
Um,
2000s though.
Early 2000s.
I mean, 2000s is when you wanted.
They
them.
still had
late,
good- yeah,
late,
barely.
Evos
late
and all
90s,
that.
I guess.
Just
Yeah.
the Evo, yeah. That was about it.
I mean,
what
Evo
else?
was all I ever wanted from Mitsubishi, right?
3000 GTV.
Dude, you didn't want a
Yeah,
Pajero
I
Mini.
guess,
You
yeah.
didn't
We
want a
just called-
Pajero
we didn't get
Evolution.
Pajeros,
You didn't
bro.
want-
Talk Diamantes.
We never got Pajeros. I live
Diamantes?
in the United States.
Do you remember the
No, I never wanted a Diamante.
the ad when they
Mitsubishi
would
Cordia?
paint the Cordia?
Yeah, I
We
do
did
remember
Conquest?
Did we get Cordias?
We got Cordias.
Never wanted a Cordia.
I was always cordless.
yeah.
That's just
Not
me.
into the Cordia.
What other brands? Any fast food? Any
Oh,
What about
dude,
Art-
I was just thinking
no,
about the other
Arby's?
day. Remember the Sunkiss like little sun fruit snacks that looked like little rabbit turds? They were like little half moon. Like,
yeah.
remember those, dude?
Yeah.
They were sick, dude. Every kid had them on their lunch, and they died off. And I'm like, how did that die
Well,
off? Like
dude,
everyone
I
had
don't
them.
Fruit roll-ups were the thing everyone had. And
Well,
those
they're
are
still around.
on the cellophane.
They're still back
you know?
though.
It's
They're
like
still
the
they're still
crinkly-
around, dude.
Crinkly cellophane.
Yeah, dude. How about pudding pops?
Dude,
the hell is
don't
that?
threaten me with a
Dude,
good
they're
time.
gone, dude.
Yeah,
those are
that's true.
huge.
Um,
No one wanted the vanilla ones. They'll
Squeeze
throw those
Its?
away.
I don't know if Squeeze-Its are still
Oh,
around.
yeah.
There was just like junk.
What about
water.
Gushers?
Gushers are still
around?
here. They're still here, dude.
Those were good.
I remember. Feels like Carl's Jr. fell off a bit, but now they're fine. They're back.
Dude, so I had a conversation with someone
Art
about
would
this
say
pretty
they never
recently.
fell off, dude. They've always made the bacon Western
Oh,
cheeseburger.
yeah. But yeah, dude, I had a recent conversation with someone. I don't remember. I wasn't paying for meals, but someone told me, an older person, that Sizzler used to be like a high-end restaurant.
Definitely.
It was?
I mean,
I
I
yeah.
don't
always
think
thought
it
it
was-
was
I
kind of
don't-
like janky,
I
right?
don't think
Well,
so,
it was
dude.
like high end for places that didn't have high end restaurants.
But it was kind of like Boston Market or something, right? Like
As far as I know,
kinda
it was
weak.
always
It was the fanciest place you could take a family to, like your
about-
kids to.
Where's Red Lobster compared to that?
Right there with it.
Right there with it. On par.
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, dude. I think Sizzler was
You could
like
pick the how they cooked your steak.
Boom.
yeah, but they also had like grilled cheese. Like you just walk up and grab a grilled cheese from under a
Which
heat
is
lamp.
glorious.
I mean,
which
yeah, it's
sounds
beautiful.
fucking
It's not
amazing.
it's not expensive or
mean,
luxurious.
It's no fresh choice, but you know, it's
Fresh
that's-
Choice was
that's
like kind of the
But was
the
that a
chisel
chain?
for a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They were
Like
around.
nationwide though?
I don't know about nationwide.
but it's all over California.
Yeah.
We definitely had one. I went
Yeah,
to
it's-
Where's
Stanford
Fresh
Shopping
Choice,
Mall
dude?
had one.
Where's Fresh Choice? Are they gone?
Gone.
There you
dude.
go. There's
they
one.
had the frozen yogurt machine.
King's Table. Where's
because
King's
it's supposed to be
Table?
healthy. We're just trying to watch.
Yeah, we're
trying to watch our
our
figure.
Yeah.
figures. King's Table.
King's Table. Was that a local thing?
They had one here. They had them over the hill. I
Love
think.
King's. I love any of those buffet where you end at a guy that's carving ham or roast beef.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
That's great. That's a good time.
There was one in the 2000s. I forget what it was called, but no, it was popular over in San Jose area.
Dude, I heard
Chain.
that Mexican pizza is back so hard that they actually keep running out of ingredients. Like, because it's so
Wow.
high in
it's the
demand.
same ingredients.
Yeah, I don't
But,
think
like,
it's
I guess-
Mexican food. There's 6 ingredients.
There was an official tweet from Taco Bell that they're like, yeah, we acknowledge that we've ordered
Dude.
or whatever. You know, we
Wow.
haven't stocked up our
I
shit.
saw that commercial, but I haven't really.
That was, I mean,
stopped
I
at
was
Taco Bell in a
maybe
while.
in high school I was into it, but I don't think it was ever like a big thing for me.
What?
Yeah, the Mexican pizza.
I was
What is it?
never into the Mexican pizza. I had one when it came back.
How do you feel about
when
it?
I was in Flagstaff, Arizona?
Don't forget Winona.
It was totally fine.
Totally fine. It was fine.
Yeah.
Up there with Sizzler.
It's like a Tom thing. He always stops it. He always
And,
tells
yeah.
me like the latest fast food, and he's gonna try it.
Are there
Oh,
any
yeah.
fast food chains that went out of business since? I think they've all.
Oh, I'm sure, dude.
Long John Silver's.
Um,
Is that a thing?
I don't think so, dude. The fast food's like never dies. It's like the cockroach.
Wiener Schnitzels is definitely like,
Oh,
I don't know
yeah.
if they're dead, but they're definitely diminished. You know what? Subways like blew up and then kind of took a tumble.
Well, they
Oversaturated. I watched
well,
the whole
Jared-
CNBC.
Oh yeah, you
thing
watched the whole
about
thing,
it,
but
yeah.
like also the Jared
Yeah,
thing killed
it
him.
didn't help for sure.
Not ideal.
Not ideal. Not ideal.
Noye Classic says, "What's the deal With these subscription-based electronic license plates, I'm struggling to see a benefit. I am right
so
there with you.
lame, dude.
It's just control, right? To say like your registration's out and it can flash,
Yeah,
you know, or
it could just change it, or it can blank out, and then cops can know. But I mean, I think it's something about like it kind of goes along with any tech, right? It's like I think people think it's cool because it's a digital plate. Like I feel like
it does look modern, and
that's my
clean.
only guess. I mean, because it's from the state's perspective, like they have controls. You're saying, like, I mean, and it's them, you know, being able to control whatever it displays. Like if your registration is not paid for, it can say like expired on it.
Not only that, it adds so much complexity to such a simple thing. We have this metal pressed aluminum plate that
Put a sticker on.
that lasts for 100 years, and now you have this thing that needs batteries, and weather's gonna get it. You know, like
Doesn't need batteries, dude. You plug it into your.
And then you get in a car accident.
does it plug into your car?
Well, I imagine it's.
I would
powered
imagine
off
it
of like
plugs into your lights,
Yeah.
like back there. You know,
I'm assuming that. I don't know.
Oh, and then you get in a car accident, and it's like what, like $600 to replace your license plate that gets damaged.
Right. Yeah,
I don't
someone
know.
taps it in a parking lot and it cracks.
Yeah.
You know, whereas every other license
Every
plate-
license plate's tattered.
Yeah.
Right. Like I mean, they're
And
always
it's
bent
heat,
up after
sun,
years.
water,
Yeah.
soil,
Stupid, dude.
what else?
Soil.
Air,
Soil.
Soiled
soiled.
from that dude taking a dump on it.
Oh right, yeah.
I'm totally out. I'm with
Yeah.
you, Teal. I don't get it at all. And I have seen a few lately. I saw one on like a really weird, like just a 2010 Accord. I'm thinking, why?
My only guess is that people think it's a cool, it's a
Modern.
novelty thing, right?
Yeah.
I mean, like in Japan, you can get a lit license plate, so it looks the same, but it's internally lit, so the characters are green, like lit up at night. And again, it's not really necessary, but you know, people
And that's
think
just something a box you can check.
pretty much, yeah. And people buy them all the time and pay extra for that shit.
Speaking of boxes to check, Flat Sex says it's SECS, by the way.
Anyone want a beer?
No,
Yeah.
I'm good. I think it would be cool to own a 12-cylinder car, a box that's nice to check as an enthusiast. With a $100,000 price cap in mind to limit the full-on exotics, what would you want to own? Doesn't have to be your only car. I like this question a lot.
We've
Because
kind of
I
been asked
too-
this before, and I think a lot of people have asked. You know, they mention a car like the 750 or something,
Yeah.
and that doesn't really check that V12 box,
No, not at
in
all.
my opinion, because it has no character and it's just a boring.
It's supposed to
kind
be this like effortless, quiet thing,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
not like a powerful
or like a Jaguar
engaging
V12 and
thing.
a
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's powerful,
80s
but
car.
Yeah, for me, two came to mind right away, and I went and checked classic.com because I saw this question earlier.
Aston Martin.
Aston Martin V12 Vanquish for sure.
Oh.
Manual, you can still get them under 100, especially if you get them with miles. And I wouldn't care. I would love to drive the hell out of that car. They're so awesome. And then 550s you can get still in that price range.
Barely.
With mileage.
Yep.
Again, with miles. Anything under like 30 grand or 30,000 miles, you're paying well over like, 120, 130, 140.
Yep.
The other one, actually, well, it was 3. The other one was the 400i. Those are still, they can be had with a manual and V12.
I'm not sure. Yeah, that's
those
a
are
tough
I
so
one. wonder
cool.
how like that engine actually feels, if it has any
I was just going to say
real
the same.
fizz to it.
Yeah.
I know the 550s need like a tubey. Stock, they're very mellow
Sure.
and just like I had a day in a 612, and that with a manual, and that was like it needed some exhaust or something.
Sure.
It was just very like
Yeah.
they're very smooth. Like V12s are just inherently smooth, and like they don't. I don't know.
Very
They
GT,
need very GT feeling. They're not. The Aston Martin was pretty cool though.
That's a lot of a car for the money. Yeah, like I found a bunch for like 80 grand.
Yeah. I would go Testarossa, but you can't get them anymore, so that's a bummer. 456 are still right under 100. I don't know, manual though.
456s are so
Right
cool, but
there.
like I don't know if they're that.
I would love to
wanna
check.
own
That would be a
one.
cool one to just cruise around for a couple months.
They look
and
so good.
They look so good, and it would be one of those cars you always look back at, and you never see them.
For sure.
Great, cool car. But I think the realistic answer for me would be an R129 SL600 and do some modifications to it, which is something I'd like to do. And
Just to make it
realistically,
sound all wild.
yeah.
Because like in reality, the V8's a better car. Than
Yeah,
the,
yeah.
I mean, and it's probably as fast and
it's, you know,
handles
400
better.
400 horsepower V12, and they can sound really good.
Yeah.
And I think it's a cool. It would just be one of those like he says, like a box to check. But my real answer would be an S65, the nicest one I could afford.
Yeah.
I'd get I think you can get like a pretty new one, like very modern new car, like top of the line S-Class with a twin turbo V12. That's what I would go with. Or a CL.
I'm going Vantage V12 manual, like Gans, like the one we borrowed.
Those are so cool.
But not black. Like
Not black.
some other color.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really cool blue that they made. It's almost like the color of that light. It's like purpley blue. It's so rad.
That'd be cool.
Yeah, like I would definitely get it in a cool color because it's a pretty subdued car. I mean, they're pretty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Reg Tanj says, what car in your budget would you add or replace your current Radwood era project car? No Porsches for Lane, no BMW for Warren, and no BMW or GADM for Art. Mercedes-Benz is my answer.
What?
Says no Porsche.
Okay, so what are you getting?
I'd get stacked headlight S-Class.
You can get a Porsche, by the way.
R107. I know.
You're allowed to, but wait, to replace what
My
car?
BMW.
But okay,
Like
So-
your E36.
S-Class, SL.
It just says within your budget.
Yeah.
I don't know what that means. But, I mean, so.
I would get a Euro S-Class, like a pre-smog Euro S-Class if I could.
Okay, that's cool.
Yeah.
It's a good car. So Art, what are you replacing? I guess the GTR.
Yeah, I'm thinking that or the E30, right? I guess, but those are
No GADM and
Yeah.
no BMW.
Because if
so
it was
you
JDM,
have Porsche,
Yeah,
so they fucking gave you an easy layup.
yeah.
Because
I would
you
just
like
get a 964.
Yeah.
I would get a 964, just a C2. Dude, so the funny thing is though, if I were to replace the E30, I would get an E86 with like a 20 valve swap or something like. But I can't do JDM. Like if I was going to replace that car, but for the GTR, yeah, I would do like a 964, similar price range. Yeah, I was thinking. I mean, realistically, I probably wouldn't get a Lotus Evora. I mean, they're really cool, but I mean, yeah, it came in GTS.
Wait, an
maybe?
Evora was something you were thinking about?
I was just thinking, yeah, like something sporty that's not a BMW, right? So like,
Yeah.
like came in GTS, like a used one, you know,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
in the 80-ish price range, like that's doable.
Yeah.
And those are really good cars. But again, what I want, I don't know. I think I would try to get a 964. Try to get a white 964.
Nice.
Okay, that's pretty good.
You're going with a PT Cruiser or what?
Yeah,
I've been looking for a purple one, purple turbo manual,
Have you really?
just to see if it's around. Like I'm
Dude.
like, just so I can share it with you guys and be like, look at this.
Today, Sarah came home and she's like, I know what you should get next. And I was like, let me guess, PT Cruiser. She's like, yep, a convertible. I saw someone driving on 17 top down today.
Hell
And a
yeah,
lady with like a
dude.
puffy jacket.
Excellent.
Killing
45
it.
degrees out.
It's like, it's probably because the fucking convertible top stopped working. It wasn't
Yeah,
like
yeah.
she had a choice.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm having a really hard time with this. I'll try like a
Jaguar.
I'll try a Vantage out for a little bit.
And replacing which car?
911.
This one?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I like it. I could see you in a Vantage.
It's like a 928, right?
Yeah.
You do try to get a V12 in place of it?
Yeah,
Actually,
I
would you
guess.
or would you
Or V8. V8's
dude,
fine.
actually for my GTR
Oh, dude, I do an R8.
or for my GTR I can get a
I do an
CLK.
R8 manual. V8.
Yeah.
I
That's
would
good.
one car that that we all collectively love and it's shit,
Oh,
no,
but it
it's
said
not-
80s
it's not.
car.
Did it say 80s?
No, he said your current budget.
I saw it said Radwood.
Oh, just to replace your current Radwood Air project car.
Replace it.
Oh, okay. So
So-
it doesn't have to replace it with same for same. Yeah, because CLK 63, but they're not in the 80ish range.
No.
I'm just thinking same for my Skyline. I mean, yeah, they're all well over 100 now.
Yeah.
Even though I talk shit about them a lot, I wouldn't. It would be fun to own a.
An MR2
I could see
Spider.
owning an E30 M3 for a little bit.
Dang, I
I
could
think
not
you
see
would
you in that.
not. I can't
I mean, I
either.
could own it for a minute.
No, I don't think so.
Well, if I had to go 80s for 80s, is what I'm saying.
Gotcha.
Mm.
Yeah, right. If I had to go like a 90s. Yeah, Mercedes-Benz SL.
Dude, how do we get a Renault V6 in the base?
Dang.
That's what I want.
Lake
Impossible.
Canard Lake Canard Zero says, what's the best place to store a car for occasional use? like 2 to 4 times a month. Find a random parking spot on Craigslist, rent from a parking structure, car club.
I would put it in my garage.
Guessing
Apparently he doesn't have that. That's funny. I've never been in this situation to like have to rent a parking spot, but 2 to 4 times a month.
That's pretty often, right? I mean, that's like
I mean,
often enough to where you
once
can
a
keep
week.
it on the
Weekend,
street, like
every
near your
weekend.
house.
You could
Or-
probably keep it on the weekend.
Unless it's like a nice enough car and you don't want it in your
Find a
neighborhood, but-
friend with a spacious driveway or like a back alley that you can park your Mitsubishi Mighty Max in. And then the window gets broken because you have a Trader Joe's bag full of other bags in there, and that gets stolen.
I would not look for a Craigslist situation. You don't want. I mean, just that's weird. I would actually.
Dude, there's some garages around. Like I know on the peninsula, there's garages that you can rent a spot.
Definitely.
I just feel like
and
I
then
would-
there's like we have here. Like I keep a car here.
Car Club's cool because you get the added bonus benefits.
Community.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you
I mean,
get
I think
other
but
people.
Option one, if that's not, I don't know where he lives, but we should check where that is. But
And car club's cool too because it gives you a little bit of that like sense of occasion of like going to the club, kind of like hanging out, checking out other
Right.
cars in there, and then going on a little run in your car.
yeah, I can see also like getting to your car is the thing, right? It's like the whole like it's an experience. Like
Yeah,
you're
rather
gonna
than
go
being
for a
like an
drive.
empty warehouse somewhere.
Yeah.
With,
I feel like
I think he's here somewhere.
option one would be
There.
like outside of the car club, if that's not feasible where he is, like is just as you said, like try to find a friend that has a space that is. I would like to keep it like car friendly, like versus just a garage, right? Because like then usually they don't let you rent, or like you want to change your oil, they don't even let you do that. Like
I think I would get creative on just finding a random parking spot.
because it's frequent enough that you're driving it, but it's
Yeah.
just it's like a spare fun car. Like if he doesn't want to leave,
I know.
it
What
out,
if it's a really nice car?
That's
like
true.
like a new M2 or something, and he
That's
doesn't want to
true.
park it on the street, right?
Or
it's
what
a
if it's a
Ford Focus.
80s Carrera or a
Yeah.
R33?
Oh, he's got an ST.
Oh, ST. I just park on the street.
Yeah, it's low key enough that you can put it somewhere. I mean,
I'm not
if
sure
you
that's what I was
can.
talking about. Ditto's dad says manual equipped sports cars now carry a sizable premium over their automatic dual clutch versions in the used enthusiast market.
Yes, they do.
If Persh comes to shove, would you get the automatic if the manual was unattainable? For example, priced out of your budget.
Dude.
No, I would go for another car.
Yeah,
Just
Because-
scrap it.
the only
I
time this
kinda-
works, like the GTI, a modern GTI, you can say you can make a case for it because you're going to use it so much, like as a
Like a DSG.
Yeah, and if that's your like daily,
pretty much
daily is key, yeah.
yeah,
but not your fun car, enthusiast car.
No, as your enthusiast car, like when I was looking for the Boxster, like automatics were like I could buy
PDKs
one any day.
everywhere.
PDK, so easy to find and cheaper, and then it was so hard to find a manual transmission S with low miles.
Yeah,
But I was not willing to go PDK. But like not even close. It wasn't even
Dude.
like I wouldn't buy a Boxster.
yeah.
Well, the
with
daily
you.
thing is interesting, right? Especially if there's crossover between like a daily / sort of enthusiast car.
Yeah.
Like I was looking at CTSV wagons. It's consistently like a $22,000 to $25,000 premium for the manual.
By the way, I think CTS V wagon
Is
is
the
a
one I
great
would
car
do.
with an automatic.
Yeah,
So
I
that's what I'm
agree.
saying, right? And it's like, and I actually went and looked at YouTube videos to see how does this thing shift? Like, is it pretty decent? Like, can you program it and all that? And like, I found a Motor Week video where they tested a Hennessy version that was all decked out and like had like the software tune for both the tranny and the engine, and it was automatic. And I'm like, damn, you can kind of make a case for that, right? Like, I mean, it's like it still handles
Dude,
fine,
a big
but it's
old
like,
beast like that.
and the torque
Yeah.
everywhere. You're just cruising around. It's got mag ride, so it's selectable suspension, so you can be comfortable, get it to be sporty when you want it to be. I was like, shit, like, but at the same time, it's like the fact that it is a manual wagon also makes it really cool, right? Like that's kind of like,
But
the
it
reason.
also makes it shitty if that's like your car you're taking
Every
your kids to like in and out.
But also, it's super torquey, so you just kind of leave it in gear, right?
Yeah,
Like,
but,
I mean, I
but
feel
you're
like-
in traffic and stuff.
Totally,
like I
traffic.
mean, you're going to San Francisco and you're stuck in traffic and you're just kind of cruising. Like there's something to be said for
I
a daily
agree.
just having the automatic.
Yeah,
and,
I would love
agree.
to drive one of those and see if it's like something that I would be happy with. Like
Dude, those are sketchy.
I
for
love
repair.
having like the Polestar as a daily. I wouldn't.
yeah.
When we have these, like we've had press cars that are manuals and stuff, or I drive my cars, I drive my Boxer to work or my 911. It's like, it's so much more of a chore.
Yeah. For sure.
Like you're more
And it's not
tired when
fun
you get
driving
home,
either.
and
It's
it's
like-
not fun driving.
Yeah,
You're
it's-
just kind of like you want to
just a
turn everything
pain.
off and just cruise.
Yes. And that time where you get stuck in a traffic jam going up Highway 17 and you're constantly in and out, just
Yeah, that's what I was looking like. I've been considering the All-Trax, the or even just the Golf Sport Wagon, the wagon.
The autos are great.
And it's a great DSG, and and they actually are way cheaper because of it, and it's totally
and
fine.
they're strong and
what you're
reliable, and
Yeah. It's and it's it's not a frustrating transmission either, right? So that's super important that it's actually a good transmission.
Yeah, they shift great. They downshift for you. Like they do a great job.
Jeff Wise says, you've all now added at least one project car to your quivers in the past year. Is it starting to feel overwhelming storing, maintaining, finding the time to drive them, etc.? I'm now at 3, and I think this must be my limit, but they're all old, and 2 of them are British, so maybe my perspective is different. Atypical Driver asks something similar. What's the perfect number of cars to own, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, and he calls you out, Lane. He says, with the ever-expanding fleets, Lane, what do you think is the Goldilocks number of cars to own?
Well, how many cars do you own, Warren?
Who's counting, really?
No, seriously.
I know he's giving you shit.
With your wife's cars, too. You have to count.
Yeah. So we have 6.
Really?
Yeah.
What do you have? Run through it.
1987 Volkswagen Vanagon, 1995 BMW M3, 1989 BMW 325i, 2010 RX 350 Lexus, 2004 Mercedes-Benz E320 wagon, year 2000 Toyota Tundra.
Dude, you have 6 cars.
6
That's too many.
Too
You
many.
have more cars than me.
What?
Yeah.
Volkswagen Bug, Alfa Romeo, Kia,
Yep.
911, Boxster,
Yep. And half
Polestar.
a bug.
Polestar.
Half a bug.
Hey, that's
5.5 cars.
That's 6. You had to think about it. You
I
got to
have half
deal
a
with
bug.
it. You got to maintain it. You got to store it.
I mean, we're tied, but kind of.
Yeah. Well,
That's
yeah.
too much, dude. I'm
totally
at
at the point
Oh,
of
by the way, it's too many cars because
Yes,
I just had to
that's what
pay
I'm saying.
registration.
for what?
Every car came in.
Oh my god,
Dude.
I just I get them in twos. I get
At
them in
least
pairs.
it was
and
like around $600 to $700 for the Porsche.
yeah.
Around
Did you
$600
have
to
to deal with-
$700 for the Kia. Around $600 to $700 for the Polestar. Like, dude, they all came in at the same time. It was gnarly.
Montana, bro. That's the thing.
That's gnarly, dude. Yeah, so I have 4 personal cars, not including the Cayenne.
So you have 5.
Yeah, with 5 with the Cayenne,
I
but
kinda
Yeah,
but-
like, you have to count it. Dude.
I mean, yeah, but it's-
you're
I
maintaining
counted the
it.
Lexus.
You're
I am maintaining.
I know your
it.
wife's
I
not like the
register-
one.
I do all. You're right. You're right.
Yeah.
And it's-
Tires and all
I do
this
all
shit.
of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
and it's too much. I mean,
And
even-
you drive it to when you go to Santa Barbara. You're,
sure.
You're
Yeah,
driving
yeah,
it.
that's true. But it's another car to deal with, right? And it's me doing it. I actually, dude, like just even with my like the ZHP, like I was driving the M3 a lot more, and then with press cars and everything, like even those cars sit. And the ZHP sat for a month without being moved. And so I went to start it. The battery was completely flat. And it's a new battery, by the way, too, which is great.
it's tattered.
So I'm like, and then I thought like I could still do like a push start on it. And because like I've always done a push start even with a dead battery.
Yeah.
So I was at the top of my
It
hill
was
and I
so dead, dude.
drove all the way down to the bottom, dude.
Oh, and then you got stuck.
Got stuck. So then I had to do a whole juggling thing where I drove down in the Cayenne, jump started it, left it idling, drove back to my house, and then ran back down the hill and then drove the E46
And
up.
this is a steep hill, folks.
It's a
Hobbits.
steep-
Yeah.
Hobbits,
It's Hobbit country.
Hobbit
guys.
country,
You never
guys.
know.
Welcome to Hobbit country. It says that.
Might
on
have been a
sign.
dragon somewhere.
Dude, you got the.
I
you
saw
got
your
that
M3
resort.
today sitting up on the
Yeah,
up
the
your
M3,
driveway.
yeah. This just I'm just shuffling cars. I mean, the E30 is stagnant. It just sits there, but it's just like
Hasn't moved for about a year.
I know it's sad. But I mean, dude, it's too much. Like I definitely personally would like to have no more than 3 cars. Like that's
Yeah.
like my cherry
With
spot.
with the Cayenne?
No, I mean, I guess 4 total is fine. But
So I bought a battery tender for the 911 so I can have it on a tender.
Yeah.
And and then and I haven't driven it in like a month because
It needs some work.
it needs Nick's doing some work to it. And then I have 2 convertibles.
Good time
And
for a
I haven't
convertible.
really been driving, and the Alpha has just been sitting basically since I bought it because it's been raining.
pouring.
So, but I have both convertibles in my garage, which is nice.
to keep them safe. Yeah.
I have a little update since this came up. We might as well talk about it. the Mercedes wagon is not long for this world.
Yeah, dude.
For my world. And we talked about it already, but
Yep.
it just crossed 160,000 miles. It's been a great car, don't get me wrong. But recently, as I've been getting in it very rarely, it smelled funky. And I'm like, what the fuck is that smell?
Heater core?
And then I remembered, I'm like, oh, I left some empty beer cans in the backpack when I went to the Niner game. Might have had a couple pops before the game. But, and one of the cans was a Bloody Mary, like a cold water, which is really good, by the way. Cold water, cool. Bloody Mary. So that was in the back of my mind. I was like, oh my God, I left that back there. It's been back there for like 3 weeks. So
moldy.
I'm like, that must be it. And I'm like, I opened that. I'm like, that doesn't smell like it. It's weird. So I threw that out, cleaned the car out, like kind of let it air out a little bit. And then the next time I got in it at your house, when I picked up dropped the press car off, smelled weird again. I'm like, what the hell? And so I look around, passenger side rear floorboard wet as a mother, and mold starting underneath the carpet.
So sunroof drains?
Maybe, and it has been parked on an angle. So if the sunroof usually, I looked it up, and the sunroof definitely usually goes kind of down the A pillar or the B pillar into the passenger front footwell.
Yeah.
But if you're slow,
maybe an angle, it was going back there. That's possible. There's also the roof rails. Those seals are all tattered, where it mounts to the.
And you've been worried about your seals forever. Anyways,
seals that's like the thing. So I hate, that's like one of my, I don't know about you guys, like if you've had cars with leaks, and especially intermittent leaks that you can't really find.
It's the worst.
It's terrible because right now I just drove the car because it hasn't been driven. So I'm like, I should drive it here. And it's all misty inside. And it's the worst.
It's wet.
And so then I'm like, defrost on, and I don't want to wipe it, so you're just sitting there and it smells. And
so it's kind of seals the deal is what I'm thinking.
It unseals
it seals its fate is what I'm saying.
Yeah, it feels like a redundant car.
It is, and I don't need it. I think like the move is to replace the E30 and the wagon and get something that's still drivable. Like if I have to go to the city or a little newer, or just like something, I don't even, not even newer necessarily, just more enthusiast but usable. So
you have anything in mind, or
kind of the stuff we talked about, like SL, Mercedes, maybe something like that.
R129?
Yeah,
that'd be sick, dude.
Be cool.
One of us needs an R129. I really want an early one.
Yeah, that's cool. That's what I've been looking at. But the other part of me is like, might be nice to just not have two extra cars. Get the fleet down to 4, right?
It's nice. Yeah. It definitely is. Yeah. I mean, luckily mine, as I mentioned, the battery's new, so I put it on a tender overnight, and like it fired up. I mean, it charged it right up. Yeah. I drove it down today, and I had no issues at all. But
you got to really make a point to at least start it and let it run for 20 minutes and get up to operating temp. Because I do the same thing with the van. Like we don't get the van out much, but I will, when I have like an hour, I'll open the garage, fire it up, let it run, rev it up.
Yeah.
Keep the battery going.
I've been meaning to do that to the Alpha. Hopefully it starts up.
By the way, I just wanted to say that there's only one real car enthusiast among us.
Oh, me.
We're not car enthusiasts yet. We've never owned an Alpha.
You know what, though? I was thinking about that because that's something Jeremy Clarkson said.
Yeah.
That you're not a car enthusiast until you've owned an Alfa Romeo. I recently picked up a 65 Volkswagen Beetle.
Yes.
I think, dude, the 65, the Beetle has more of those vibes than the Alpha does.
I agree.
As like you're not an enthusiast until you've owned air-cooled Volkswagen.
It's kind of the most fun, bang for the buck, fun.
Dude, it's so just car. I don't know. There's something about it. Like it's
in the Never Ending Story when he's like these hands.
Hands.
But it's also like I feel like the Alpha angle is enthusiast because it's like a driver's tool, whereas like
that's true.
And it has so much history.
VW is like so utilitarian, right? It's like historically just been a car, as you said.
Yeah, I
right?
guess that's true, but it's such a it's a car
it's a
you have to work on.
It
feels like a rite of passage to me.
Yeah, I've never owned one. I've driven them.
Yeah, I picked up this Bug, and it still has a 6-volt battery.
Whoa!
And it's 1200 cc, 65. We replaced the battery, fired right up.
Nice.
And it runs so well, dude.
Wow.
Shifts perfect through all 4 gears.
Rally it and fuck it
dude,
up.
it's so cool. It's so slow, but it's not slow like the Ali's Land Rover is slow.
Yeah.
Right? That thing is just
it's like cumbersome
horribly
and
slow.
Yeah.
Like this thing will do 75 on the highway.
Whoa. Dang. Freeway flyer.
Yeah, dude.
That's cool.
They're
man.
so cool. The steering's good. Everything. Like,
How did this thing pop up? Did you know the owner?
Ali's neighbor / friend, older gentleman who sold him his Land Rover,
Oh, I met him.
knows this lady, and he knew she was maybe
Needed to
wanting to
sell
sell
it.
it or
Yeah.
needed to sell it.
Yeah.
It was in San Jose. She lives in a apartment complex. They have really nice underground parking lot, and she got a new car like right around COVID, I think, a Toyota Camry, and the car's just been sitting.
Yeah.
And it's currently registered, so she's been paying registration, and she has it in. She's like paying for an extra spot to park it and everything.
Yeah.
And she's owned it since 1978.
Ever been in an accident?
It was
or?
her first car.
Wow.
The accident, it has damage on the left side, fenders, front and rear fenders. So like someone or she hit something.
Yeah.
So there's dents on both fenders. But besides that, I mean, it's super clean,
Nice.
super straight.
Yeah, because it was weird. I couldn't tell if like you guys like. It almost sounded like you pried it out of some lady's hands because she was like so bummed to see it go. And
She was like
she like nodded
crying,
and
and every text was like sad face emoji, and yeah, it was funny. And she said the only two things I've ever loved are my dog and this car.
Whoa.
wow.
Well, did you give her a little smooch on the way out, or what'd you do?
Nope.
I'll reach around.
So what is there a plan here? I mean, I you mentioned Myers Manx. Like
We're gonna flip it, unless for some reason I'm like, oh, I want this thing so much, you know.
Pretty cool. It's one of those cars that if you have the big space and warehouse,
It is super
You
cool.
have a bug in the corner.
Yeah, for sure.
But you have an oval window, though. Is what you want.
I mean, yeah, definitely. Or split window. Or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah. This thing is cool though.
Very
I mean, it
cool. I
looks
would love
good.
to-
It has the old style headlight.
Little
I
tail
love 'em.
lights. Yeah.
Yeah.
The one we had at the shop was a 64, and it was so much fun.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a convertible, or chop top, but it was just smiles per mile, man.
No, it's super fun.
I love them.
But the plan was that we're gonna like put a little money into this. I already ordered a bunch of parts, so I ordered a new rear bumper with overriders and bumperettes and everything. I ordered a new bumperette for the front. There's one of them's like super rusty. Ordered 4 new hubcaps. Ordered
Empty. This all empty catalog.
Yeah.
no, it's all legit shit. Ordered new running boards. The running boards are like fully rusted out. The whole body is like perfect, and the pan is not rusty. It's like really clean. But the little floorboards that just bolt on with 2 bolts are all rusty. So I got genuine German ones. Those are like $240 for the pair.
Oh, crazy.
Hubcaps were like $19 each or
no
something.
way.
Nice.
It's cool to hear that this stuff is still super cheap. Like, I mean,
Yeah, the rear bumper with the overriders, and it's the triple chrome one, the more expensive one, was like $450
Dang.
or something. So that's like the most expensive thing.
Right.
So
Interior's decent.
interior is actually in really good condition, but the door panels in the back, they're all red and white, and the seats, like she had replaced the seat covers, and they're brown.
Oh, weird.
Basket weave
Yeah.
with smooth top section, so the correct for the year, but not the correct color.
Weird.
So I'm kind of we're thinking about like replacing the seat covers,
Yeah.
but then it gets into like how much you want to spend.
Let the next person do it, kind of thing.
Yeah, and then we want to do have Anthony at City Dent fix the fenders, and then maybe do a little touch up paint here and there. But it has a nice patina to it, like some stuff. So we'll just like have Kevin AutoWorks Detailing polish it out and kind of go through the thing.
so I'm hearing first car for Amelie. Good for
Yeah, dude,
Talk
that's
about
like
safe.
so bad. I know it's so funny. Like so many kids, like more like before us, but like I would say like 4 years older than us had bugs.
Yep.
But the idea is just kind of like go through it a little, and then flip it, and then we have we were gonna buy like a Myers Manx like new chassis or new body, and then have that thrown on a chassis.
Cool.
So do like a new build
Okay.
of a Myers Max, like
Yeah.
an old style one
Right. So
with
not
a
EV,
Volkswagen engine and everything.
Yeah. That's great.
but not this car.
So no, because this is way too nice to use.
You get like a set, like a hot
tear
rod
apart.
or something. to
Yeah,
start
you
with.
get like a late model Super Beetle or something
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know what color Myers makes, so throw out suggestions. But
dude.
they have like I was thinking purple, like crazy bass boat flake.
Definitely bass boat. flake.
It definitely bass boat,
Yeah.
no matter what.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can do purples. There's greens. There's blues. There's so many cool like.
That all works.
The purplish
It all
pink
works.
looks really good.
Yeah. I'm a weirdo. I love yellows, so I would want to do
Yellow's
like almost
cool,
like
yeah.
like an orangish yellow, like that they
Yeah,
had back
yeah.
then.
Yeah.
Dude, so that's interesting because like I feel like everyone asks, okay, what's the difference between a 356 and a bug, right? And like it's in the execution and like everything's tighter and blah blah and like it's like a bonded chassis or whatever.
Oh, I will say one thing that's so impressive about this car: the door closure.
I love them.
It's
Interesting thing.
so
It's like
solid,
it's very
dude.
click,
It's
clack,
just,
yeah.
dude,
Yep.
and they're watertight. It is
They're
so
good,
nice,
yeah.
dude.
Dude,
Nice
so
car.
I was thinking, like that would be cool to sort of you hear about it, you see it, but online or in magazines in the past, but like making like a actual performance oriented car, like that one dude at Griot's. Remember the guy that runs
Oh,
Griot's
man,
Motors?
that
His car is
bug.
badass. Yeah, it's actually like it's got a Subaru swap in it, but it looks old school and it's
Great
got great
stance.
suspension.
Yeah.
Like it looks awesome. It's on BBS RSs, which you would think
Whoa.
wouldn't work, but it actually works. And it's like this like a deep metallic green. And he's got Recaros in it, and like that's always something that I've
Is
thought
it an
like,
early
could be
car,
cool.
early bug, like
It's-
pre-60s?
It's like
pre-68?
no, it's like a
Super?
67, 68. Yeah,
Oh,
like,
okay, because
yeah.
those look cool when you like. That's like a different. I feel like those look cool when you kind of
Well,
modernize them.
those German builds we'd seen.
Dude, the
a few of
German
them.
builds with the fog lights in the
So
front and
cool.
stuff look so good. When
Yeah.
they're
That one
like
that used to come to
68 plus.
Canepa,
Yeah.
like a half cage and was like
Yeah, I
period,
think it was
Oh,
awesome.
that one was
period
awesome.
like
Yeah.
autocross car. Yeah, super cool. Well, that's cool. I mean, yeah, this goes back to the like having too many cars discussion. Like you added another one.
Yeah, but it's definitely like it's a flip.
It is
right?
a flip. Yeah.
So
But you still have to deal with it. You're buying parts.
Oh,
you're
yeah,
like
yeah.
thinking about like I got to get to City Dent.
yeah,
And that means driving a bug like across
I know,
Silicon
and I
Valley.
still have to register it.
You have to register it, and you need to
Yeah.
like think about it. Right.
It is kind of fun though.
But
It's
it-
like,
this
and,
is like-
and it's
yeah.
a little enough. It's a small enough amount of money where it doesn't.
Yeah, and you also have someone else in with you on
Yeah.
it. So if like I don't know, you can kind of
And right now, at least,
half-ass
it's
it.
not at either of our houses. It's at our office.
yeah.
and it's in a like one of those tents, like the little car tents.
Oh, really?
So it's not as much of like a burden.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's also like I feel like at this point in time, like where the other cars are sort of kind of like they're off to the wayside. Like this is now a focus, and it's
Yeah,
actually
yeah.
something exciting. Like it's cool to find all as you're doing, right? Like sourcing all the parts, and especially because they're all available. Like it's all out there still, and it's not
Yeah.
a struggle. It's like that sounds fun,
Yeah.
And it actually seems like it moves quicker, right? Too because you
For sure.
you're-
Yeah, I just got a
you're motivated.
notification today that like a bunch of the shit shipped.
Nice.
So yeah, it should be a pretty quick little project.
Nice.
dang,
But-
you're gonna break her heart. She's gonna ask you how's the car?
I know.
Oh,
Well, one thing I did,
do frown face.
probably just
Ali and I went to we called 10 auto parts stores and drove all around looking for a 6-volt battery and couldn't find one.
Yeah, good luck.
We found one at Napa,
Oh, nice.
which Napa's still one of those shops that they took over a bunch of old mom and pop shops. So
Yeah.
they carry more
Some stuff.
Volkswagen stuff and all that. Like you go to O'Reilly's or something, they don't even have ceramic fuses.
No, I know.
So they don't even know what they are.
They have air fresheners and wiper
Yeah.
blades.
Yep.
And
Yeah.
Yeah. The 64 we had was same thing, 6-volt, and
Mm-hmm.
then we converted it.
Oh,
So
okay.
It was a conversion kit. But if you're not keeping it, then
Yeah.
no need to do
Yeah.
it.
And it's kind of like something to it that it's so original.
Totally. Yeah. This is going to be used a lot. We were having trouble finding replacement headlights, 6-volt headlights. And so that was, I think the impetus was had a cracked headlight, and those were hard to find. I was like, let's just.
Yeah. And this thing has
Just do
original
this.
headlights and they work and turn signals work. Like everything works. The brakes feel really good.
Nice.
It's kind of crazy.
I love driving those things.
They're really good.
Yeah. Just
Yeah.
rolling through the gears and that little whistle of the 4-cylinder.
And
super
they're
thin steering
it's a
wheel.
4-speed and it's like a
Yeah, thin
bowl of
steering wheel.
soup kind of thing, but it's pretty tight and
What kind of soup?
And it's a
Like a
probably like
tomato
a
dish?
chowder or
Chowder.
something.
Oh,
Okay.
Um,
Some resistance. Just
but it's
not-
a
thick boy.
it's a 4-speed, so it's very definitive. You just go down all the way to the left, and you go all the way to the right and up. It's very like
and also reverses a pop down.
a pop down and left, pop down, left and down. Yeah, pop down.
Is it left down?
Left down.
Remember.
It's left down. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is it the one that has like a little zigzag on the shift knob?
Kind of shows it going down.
So our knob is like just a VW. It's a metal knob. It's really cool looking. It just says VW on it.
That's not original, is it? It's got to be replaced.
Oh, maybe.
I thought they were like,
I
like
think
a,
you're
wasn't
right.
it like a bake
They were
light?
like a porcelain.
Yeah,
Like a bake light
I thought,
thing
right?
or whatever. But the shift rod's kind of cool. It goes up and it has a little weird like swerve to it. Yeah, it's a cool car.
So you got any other cars on your list? You looking for anything?
My brother told me about a Rabbit cab in my neighborhood last week, and I went to go find it, and it wasn't there anymore. He said it was for sale. I got super excited.
Dude, I've seen some on Craigslist just looking through Volkswagens, and they're not cheap.
No,
decent ones.
They're not.
The word is out.
Yeah.
So if you have a line on one.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm talking about like good manual, Mark 1 or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mark 1.
They're all Mark 1s?
I mean, yeah.
And that was the only way to get the.
Or no, they're not all
headlight.
Mark 1s. They went 1 to 3.
They did go 4 headlight
1
at
to
some point.
4
also.
or 1 to 3?
1 to 3. 3.
1 to 3, and then they went to 4.
Yeah.
Yeah, because it was still a Mark 1, but it had the quad headlight, like with a later style.
Well, they went to quad headlights, yeah.
And then they went straight to Mark 3.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyhow, yeah, they're like $20,000 for really nice ones, and that seems outrageous, but I don't know.
Yeah, whatever.
Nostalgia, man. So going from a Volkswagen Bug to a AMG EQS.
Similar shape.
Yeah, you're right.
Sloped roof.
It's like an extended Bug.
Yeah.
I think Lane probably got the most drive time in it because you drove it over the hill and back.
I mean, I would say so, unless Art drove it more.
I drove it around town on the freeway, just like a few different environments, but nothing.
I didn't get much because it was raining like crazy, and I only had it for a day. But
I mean, it was raining the whole time I drove it too. But yeah.
I drove it through 8 inches of standing water,
Sick.
and the car like freaked out at one point and thought I was going to crash into something.
Oh, really? Oh, because
all
it
the
saw
parking
the water
sensors came on.
Yeah, it saw the water as an object.
It was like, you're going to crash. But I was going so slow. But yeah.
Yeah, dude. So 2022 AMG EQS. So this is the performance model of Mercedes' new flagship in quotation marks EV.
Yep.
So supposedly an S class, an EV S class. But this is the AMG model, so it's not as luxurious. It's got different seats.
I think 751 horsepower on when you race start
so
up to that
in like full sport plus race start. It's like 600 and something otherwise, and like 700 foot-pounds of torque. So it's extremely fast.
0 to 60 in 3 flat.
Yeah, it's like a lot of these cars. It's like that's one stat, but it's like from a roll. Like at any point, it is like a fucking warp speed machine, right? It just goes and goes, and it's super fun. My kids loved it. I put them in the back,
Same.
and like it was full on roller coaster for them.
Same, yeah.
And so it's got something there. I mean, it makes a bunch of weird noises. It has way too many settings. Like it's got every fucking button and thing you can imagine,
like
and
the same
adjustability.
with the other AMGs we've driven, right?
It's just, and the thing is that there's a lot of redundancy also,
Yeah.
right? Like there's stuff on the steering wheel, the stuff on the center console, and then there's
I
stuff in
still had
the
a
thing.
hard time just like figuring out stuff.
Yeah,
Like
it's
how to get
Yeah.
to like, I want to get back to
You couldn't even find the massage
CarPlay,
seats, you said,
and
yeah.
I couldn't.
saw
I
that.
didn't know it had massage
But
seats. I couldn't find
I think it's tough with these cars we're given for like a few days.
Yeah, it takes time.
Yeah, like
and then you find
can't-
and we talked about it before. It's like
Yeah.
you maybe are more of a steering wheel control person, or the center console, or the tablet,
or you
whatever.
just have it in individual mode and you never touch it, right?
You set it up,
just set it up and set it and forget it. But yeah, I struggle with that too, because there's times where I'm like, dude, it's so hard to close this door. Like it didn't have a great like pull.
Dude, that was horrible. I
horrible,
mentioned
right?
it in my little review.
Yeah, and I think like that is something you would just get used to.
No, but I don't think you should be able to get used to that.
I-
That's
no,
not
I agree.
luxurious
I
to have to
agree.
reach like that for a door handle.
I agree.
and by the way, when you grab it, it creaks and
there was no
it's all
good
like,
place to hold
no.
it. Yeah. So there's things like that where I'm like, I try to tell myself,
That's
well,
like stuff where you're like, where did they
get
forget to
used to
build
it.
a car?
I know.
I don't.
So let's start at the
understand
beginning. I think Lane and I talked about it briefly, but it is like they just started over building cars for the EQS.
This is like their Tesla, basically. Like they're starting
Yeah,
with
but
this new thing.
but they already had
But
a
I mean,
car.
I know, but that's what I'm saying. It's like if they started with this new
They've
concept,
been building cars since
it's just ergonomically, the placement of shit is
1800s?
very weird, right? Like, yeah, and it's just, you talked about the cell phone charger. It's like way over there in a cave,
And
like
you have
back
this
in there.
Yeah.
massive center console that's pretty wide and takes up a lot of space. The car doesn't have a tunnel. So you can do things with this space that doesn't need to have.
Well, it does have the floating.
It does have the floating thing, but
yeah.
I mean, it's huge. It's like, a foot wide.
Yeah, it's a
where it
little
doesn't need to be.
too wide. Yeah.
And there's some other things too. I mean, the fact that it doesn't have a frunk is insane. That's
wild.
The weirdest.
And you
choice.
can't open the front at all.
You can't open the front at all.
No, you have to go into some weird service mode.
Let's talk about the good things first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, we talked about power. It's
Well,
fast as hell.
It rides really well.
It rides really well.
Yeah.
And actually, this is like the only modern car we've had, and probably ever, that actually rides well in Sport Plus.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And-
I think
and
the,
that was my
the
first
Alpina
observation.
did as well.
The Alpina,
Did as well. You're right.
I'm going to say this car doesn't ride great. I think it slams over bumps that it shouldn't because it has no sidewall.
Oh,
Well, that is
okay.
a thing.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I mean, that's
I'd like
22
to drive,
inch wheels.
I know. I'd like to drive the non-AMG version just to see.
It has some sidewall.
But I'm bouncing over bumps, and I'm like, this is not an S-Class or a luxurious feel. But then I go,
It's
it's not
AMG.
supposed to be.
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
an AMG, right? So
Yeah. But
you're
it
giving
is,
that up.
but what I agree 100% with Lane. That was my first observation, is that it is the best riding in Sport Plus. Like any of these cars, you put it in
Yes.
full Sport Plus mode and
It's
it becomes
undrivable.
it's concrete, right?
But that Alpina was the best that I've experienced with big wheels, low profile tires. But yeah. So anyways, for a lot of weight, low profile tires, it rides
I also
pretty well.
I was very impressed by the turn radius. The rear wheel
radius.
steer is
Oh,
incredible. Yeah.
That
and-
needs to be standard feature.
dude, yeah, the rear wheel
It's
steer is amazing. And like, it's also, I felt like it didn't hide its weight. Like it was very heavy, but it handled very well. And it's until I didn't push it a ton. Like, I'd got to understeer at some point, but otherwise, like, like at 7/10, it's like at a swift pace. It's like super competent. It's very composed. It has a shit ton of grip. Like,
it's a strange car to hustle. Like it doesn't feel like a car that wants to be.
It doesn't want to hustle.
No,
I
it's
mean,
like, but it's like a fast.
but
like,
it does
just kinda
well.
sweepy
Like
kind of
I drove it over 17 quite a
That's
few times.
That's perfect. Yeah.
That's
And
perfect.
it I'm not like, I wasn't hauling ass or anything, but I'm, in the fast lane, like going pretty well.
Yeah.
And it was competent.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
It was like, you're not like moving around a lot. You're kind of just hanging out. And it was doing its job, and it felt great,
Yeah.
So I think,
Did you set the? Did you guys mess with the paddles?
Yeah.
And so the
Oh, it
the
is
aggressive.
regen,
It's, but
which is
the
so
regen
annoying.
is it's way more aggressive than your car. Like in the most aggressive setting.
The worst thing,
It's
but
crazy.
you know what sucks about it?
The pedal moves.
Okay, the pedal moves was just super weird. I tried to
didn't notice
videotape that. It was so crazy.
Yeah,
So it was
it's
just
like
going
using
up
the
and
brake.
down.
Yeah, it's so weird.
But it doesn't go all the way to a stop, which is super annoying on full regen.
Oh, did your car?
Yeah.
Yeah.
My car, you don't have to use the brake. You
Did
don't
you
have
have
to use the
creep
brakes.
on?
Let off and it goes.
Yeah, everything off.
You had creep off.
Oh,
no, because
maybe,
creep off. I turned creep off and I was able to get to a stop.
oh, maybe I couldn't even find
It's like a
creep.
TLC setting.
Dude, I couldn't even find modes, dude.
They're deep. Yeah, you have to go. It's like
It
there's
took
a
me
lot.
while.
There's
At
a
one
lot.
point, I
think
was
that is-
trying to do something very simple, and I was having to go into like menus and stuff, and I was like, "Fuck, dude, this is why." I'm like, I was driving and I was driving and trying to
I
do
know,
it.
I
And
know.
it was like
Again,
so
this
frustrating.
comes back to like in 2 weeks of using it, you might not even think about it.
Right.
It would just
You-
be,
yeah,
you know
it's
where
hard.
it is.
So I think I had creep. I had creep on, dude. I didn't know you could turn creep
You
off.
can turn creep off. Yeah.
But one thing I did notice was weird on the way to your house this morning. If you're like constant throttle, like I'm accelerating, and I change regen, it feels like you're changing to like sport modes in a normal car.
Or like
It would like
downshifting kind of.
It would no, so it would like I'd be in full regen,
So your
and I'd have
throttle
the throttle,
sensitivity changes,
and then
as
all of
you-
a sudden I go to a different setting, and all of a sudden it starts accelerating. And I'm like, that shouldn't be the case if I'm on throttle, dude. And it felt like it was like
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah,
it
it's like-
changes the driving characteristic rather than just the regen.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it should only change when I let off the gas, not when I'm on the gas.
yeah,
Is
Which
this
was a
still-
weird thing that it did.
Are we still covering the good stuff we like?
Oh, sorry.
yeah. Well, I mean,
It
yeah,
started out with good stuff.
good
and then it
stuff.
turns into-
I actually was really the rear leg room is incredible. Like,
Oh, yeah, it's
there's
huge
so
back
much
seat.
space in the
Sure.
back.
headroom, not so much. But
Headroom, not so much. Trunk is gigantic.
Trunk's
but
huge.
But you don't have a frunk, as
And
you
it's
said.
an incredibly sloped back area. I mean, it's big, but you can't have anything tall.
Yeah, you can have. I mean, you're not putting a.
But it does.
box,
Seats fold down
but yeah,
flat.
but you can put- yeah.
I'm not sure if they fold down flat. I didn't fold them down, but they do fold. And yeah, a lot of trunk space. Where are you guys at on the dash? I really like it.
Oh, the whole hyper
Just the entire
dash they call
hyper
it. It's
dash,
very
yeah.
interesting. I mean, I think it's just
You
as
like
said,
it? What
Yeah.
do you like about it?
I only have.
You
I have
like the
one
AMG, the multiple AMGs on the passenger
Well,
can
the
change
side?
passenger thing you can change,
yeah.
which I changed to a Compass. But they only had 5 things you could change to. Maybe that's like something you could download or get other.
Dude, you can
info.
also you can play videos.
Yeah, you can play videos.
You can do all kinds. I didn't get that
I
far,
didn't
but
either,
you
yeah.
can do all sorts of stuff.
It was too Sony Explode to me.
Oh, okay.
Dude, the actual gauge cluster, so Sony Explode with those 2 like meters going up and
I think
down.
you can change all
You
that.
can, yeah. You can go with
do a
regular
classic
dials
look
and stuff.
stuff.
There's like 7 different.
I don't know. I felt
modes
like a
of
lot
playing
of stuff, even the steering wheel switch had that little like this little line around it. It was like the modes on the
Yeah.
steering wheel,
Yeah.
the little buttons, the Manatinos, as you
Right.
like. They had this like gradient graphic that was
Totally.
just kind of cheesy,
Yeah,
like
yeah,
rather
yeah.
than just being a solid white line or something.
I was-
Everything felt
I
a
was
little like
surprised
over
that-
the top, very like 90s like stereo kind of
Tech.
thing.
Well, I felt like
Exactly.
they were trying to go like this is the future, right? It's like all screens because I mean, like the Manatino doesn't have to be a screen. Like that's like I was really
Yeah.
surprised that those are little screens,
know.
you know, like for the
I think
suspension.
that last
and the,
AMG we drove had the same.
It had the same.
setup.
It's a new AMG thing, yeah.
Yeah.
And the interior has all of that crazy techno fucking Tron stuff. All the new AMGs.
So what
do
did
that.
you guys think about that?
Yeah.
Was it
so
like
it's busy? I actually like.
distracting maybe?
Well, it's bright, dude. Like
Yeah,
that was
I
like
just turned it all down. And
Yeah, I turned it down. If you turn it down, it's okay.
Yeah.
Like that's the thing. My kids absolutely loved it. Obviously, it's entertaining for them. But like, but yeah, like with the even at like halfway, it was so bright in there.
Yeah.
I think it's cool. Everything's responsive. It actually works. And as you said, I mean, like it takes time, like to figure
You
it
like
out.
the volume knob?
There's a
for
lot
the,
of
oh,
shit.
sorry.
No.
This thing?
Volume slider.
Screens are responsive.
By the way, you can't
Yeah.
like you can't just turn it up a little bit.
No,
you have
it's
to go like.
dude,
I could. I was
having a really hard time with
Yeah.
it.
it's there,
On
so we're
the
talking
center
about-
console, you can press up and you can
Right.
press it.
But it's all capacitive touch shit all over the place,
Not
and
good.
like in the
good.
center console stuff is really weird because it's a flat panel, but like
The whole panel moves.
But it all moves and it clicks, and it's not.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel good.
Did
It
you guys
feels cheap.
use the sunroof?
Yeah,
No, I didn't.
Same
use some-
deal. It's this weird.
it's a you have to
plastic-
slide it.
Yeah, and it's a whole piano black plastic you can barely see, and the whole thing clicks in and out. So you
Yeah, and you
press where you
slide
want.
to open.
Yeah.
Like you do
And
this.
it
like-
doesn't. It doesn't feel futuristic, and that's
it
what they're trying to do. But it's like to me,
feels pretty cheap. It feels,
Feels
like an
cheap, yeah.
appliance, sort of like.
yeah.
There's
What
not
did
that
you-
like crafted.
What did you guys think about the exterior door handles?
they're the worst.
Not good.
Probably the worst door
So
handles
I
ever.
drove it
So
up.
bad.
I drove it up to GTO Tom's house or to his
Yeah.
office and his dad was there too, and we had 2 S classes. So not the current S class, but the last gen Ollie's gen. You know.
Yeah,
So we had 2 S classes. I'm sorry, 3, an SL, an E class, and then this car. So we got to like go around all the cars, like feel the door handles inside, outside, look at like the body sculpting and stuff. And it's so like, it feels just incomplete. Like they didn't go all the way with it. And maybe it's because they were looking at a Tesla as their
it
inspiration.
feels disjointed.
It's just like they didn't really try to make it an amazing Mercedes. They tried to make it a great Tesla. Does that make
Yes.
sense?
Like some,
Like,
yeah, it's
They copied Tesla rather than being like, "Hey, we're Mercedes. We already know how to do stuff. Let's
know.
just add electric, and add like maybe add a little tech, but we don't have to like change to doors that are
it's-
electronic and
Just the seats alone in the,
Oh
in the
my-
newer S class compared
Yeah.
to this, it's like so
these
disappointing.
seats were so cheap.
I know.
feeling.
It's
the,
just-
the
it's one of those
bottom
things.
seats look. The bottom of the seats look like Mini Cooper seats.
You know what's funny is that the AMG, is it the
how
GT?
gross is the thigh extension?
I know.
It just
I know.
protrudes through the leather like.
AMG
like-
GT
it's not
has that
separate.
same.
Yeah.
Yeah,
same
well,
pattern.
the thing is
Oh
that
really?
Yeah.
I think what Warren said hits the nail on the head, and it's really sad. It's just that the standards for this particular customer, their target audience, they're so low that like this is fine, right? And so it's shitty. It really is. And you know, dude, like the door handles were so frustrating, like because they're not ergonomic at all. Like they just like they retract into the body and then they pop out, and they're just like totally perpendicular to the body line. So it's when you grab it, you have to pull straight
Yes,
out.
yes.
It's not like
And there's no real
it
motion
doesn't
to
curve
it.
up.
So I
It's
gave
like-
my daughter a ride to school. And
Yeah.
she's 13, and she's like pulling on it, and I'm all, and she couldn't get in. I'm like, you just have to pull really hard.
Yeah.
And she finally gets in. And she's like, "Oh, that was weird."
You have to pull
not
so hard.
prompted,
I know.
Not prompted. She's
yeah,
like, "Oh, that was." I thought it was locked. You know, and it doesn't have a good like feel. It
It's like
doesn't
really
have any kind of
plasticky
like
and gross, yeah.
That's the
no
one thing.
mechanical feel.
Yeah, we went through all of it, like the touch points for all the HVAC stuff and the seat quality in the S-Class.
How about the seat controls, guys?
Those are really.
I mean,
really bad.
you cannot feel. They have no feel.
I know.
There's no movement.
There's no movement.
It's all
and
it's
like
capacitive.
touch.
I
yeah.
never knew if I was like, can I go down further? Can I change it?
Right.
Like, and then it was like when you did move, you're like, oh, I moved too much.
Which is
Ah.
just another example of something you don't need to adjust. You just make what you're doing with the S-Class,
Yeah.
like make that really good. Why do
Yeah.
you need it? And I think it goes back to what Art's saying is the customer they're aiming for doesn't really want to drive or want a car. They want an iPhone that also gets them to work. I
But
don't
if
know.
that's the case, like, why do they have the traditional Mercedes style of moving the seats and stuff? Why don't they just have a full-on swipe thing or like a
Right.
little button you press?
I guess this is like the happy medium is that it's still sort of
figuring
it just
out, yeah.
feels
See.
like such a not a happy medium. It feels like a shitty medium.
Well,
It's
to them,
almost
I
like,
mean, yeah.
dude, that's a good point. Like, I can almost see it like fully integrated into the panel, and
Yeah.
it's like literally like a flat thing, right? And you just gesture if that's what
Yeah.
they're going for, right? Like,
Yeah.
it would have
Give
been
me,
better
like,
than
that
full
would be
tack.
cheaper actually.
Give
Yeah.
me full tack rather than this like
Yeah.
half-assed thing.
And the shitty thing too is that the actual adjustment, like you would think that it moves just like the traditional one do, and so you
Yes.
expect it to do something,
Yeah.
and then it doesn't.
You
and it's
expect-
way
you
more
expect a
frustrating.
nice click
and it's
and-
totally frustrating because you're so used to a Mercedes thing. But again,
Yeah.
maybe where is that buyer coming from, right?
So Tom's dad came into this. I surprised him with it, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you brought this because this is the car I want."
Oh,
I was thinking,
interesting.
I was looking at these because we sat in one, not last Pebble Beach, but the Pebble Beach before. They had one you could sit in and check
I
it
kind
out.
of remember you talking about that.
Yeah, and so that's when I first saw the dash, and I was like, "Holy crap, this thing's crazy!" But you couldn't drive it, it just looked like a spaceship. But he was like pretty into it, and he's owned multiple S-Classes and stuff. And he like in 5 minutes, he's like, "Nope, don't want it." And the styling is one thing. He likes the styling.
I don't mind the styling.
I think it's cool. Yeah.
It's fine. It's totally subjective, but it was everything else. It was all the detail, and then the price. It's $160,000,
Yeah.
and he has an S-Class currently. So you're going from an S-Class, and he loves it. He's like, I love this car so much, and we could look at all the details. There's no detail, and Tom was even like, look at this fender, and his is like a 2010 or whatever that, more sharp front end. And the rear quarter fender has that like bulge for the wheel arch, and like it kind of comes all together. And he's like, look at this, like someone spent like time sculpting this and making it like, you can see like the radius starts here, and we were looking at it, and then we look over the EQS, it just whomp.
And it
There's
has a
not one.
hole in the front fender that says Formatic, and you press it and you put washer fluid in there.
That's very sad because the frunk doesn't open.
I was-
You
I
have an
couldn't
electric car with no frunk. Like
all that work.
It's like a Ford Maverick truck bed size area
Yeah.
that is not usable for anything. It just
Yeah.
it is like they started from scratch, and they're just like, I don't know, let's
Well,
start.
how do you build a car? Let's
What is-
just figure
let's
it out.
get that Tesla.
Well, that's like you were saying, like the interior door pull.
Yeah,
It's like, for one thing, it's like, where is it?
Right.
And then it's like, oh, it's this little pocket, and you have to physically like move your whole body over and reach for it.
the thing about that too is that these cars have gotten so from the driver position to where your like shoulder is to the start of the door is
Yeah.
a big bowed like area now. Like it's for safety, right?
Yeah.
But that means when the doors open, it's like a far reach, and then you're putting this like huge gap. I don't know.
It's
It
not
just-
ergonomic
it's not
at all.
ergonomic.
Yeah. It's
And
weird.
these are the things you've been doing for
No, that's
100 years.
and it's not luxurious either.
Right.
Like, so that's that's the opposite of luxury. Like a luxury item should be easy to use
Right.
and like,
But
and it shouldn't
one thing.
stress you out and all this stuff.
It's an
should be
AMG.
So here's the weird thing too also is that they have an option, and I think that's where this is supposed to be like, I imagine they assume all their customers are doing it. It has a gesture door close. So like you do this thing and then it's supposed to close. And so this one wasn't optioned with that.
And this one was only 159,000. So.
Well, yeah, but it was also, I'm curious to see. Well, I've heard really bad things about the standard one, like in terms of the ride was supposed to be really bad, and like
Well,
it's a different
Camisa posted
suspension.
that video that stuck with me the whole time, and
What was that?
it was him on a like 280 or something where it had expansion, like basically just like pavement, expansion joints, and he had a video of like the rear wheel basically like pogoing down the highway, and he's like, "This is not good.
Oh,
Like
this one
is the
felt.
worst.
This one
That
felt.
sounds
way
broken.
better than
that.
that.
Must have been broken or
But see,
something.
that was a non-AMG, and I don't know what setting it was in or whatever. But he posted that in one of his
because I mean,
verdicts.
if you look at the interior, the standard one is like way more luxurious, like in terms of materials, right? Like it's all quilted leather and like all that, and like knurled metal everywhere and all
I feel
that.
like I'd want that.
But yeah, I mean, it makes sense for this, right?
Because this
Like,
doesn't have like this. It's not like it's like fast, but it's not sport. It's not something you'd want to.
You know what's funny is there's like a setting. There was a race setting in the menus that had like track maps.
Yeah.
So to think like you're gonna take this to the track.
Yeah, it's
and,
ridiculous.
And also the ambient lighting. You know that the strip or whatever.
yeah.
There was some setting. Maybe you looked into this, but it had a way to tell you like your your lap times, and it would change color based on if you were progressing or falling back.
Oh my god,
on
it's like
it.
Mario Kart or something.
Yes, dude.
It's like
It's
dude,
why put
it
time
weighs
into
it weighs
that?
like 6,500.
I know, and it
pounds.
Can we
has,
talk
like-
about the
Like,
sounds?
sounds are actually
Kind of
kinda
like
cool.
them.
No, you don't,
Yes,
dude.
I'm kind of down.
They.
It felt like warp speed.
That's
Okay,
the whole thing.
it was
yeah.
the whole
sound-
the race start thing.
Oh, I was thinking more when you basically floor it in race plus or
Yeah,
sport
yeah,
plus,
yeah.
it does that,
Yeah.
and it basically sounded like a Star Trek.
It's Star Wars.
Yes, and I kind of down.
Okay, but
Yeah,
it
I'm
wears on you, dude. I drove it to work and back.
Well,
and
you
it
don't
was
have to be in that mode.
No, but even in the load mode, it has this like.
I think
It's
you
like
can
a
turn it
groan
almost
kinda
all the
thing.
way off.
How I turned it to
There was a
balance, which is the
setting.
lowest I saw, and then I went to like natural. There's
Yeah,
a
that's what it was,
natural
natural.
thing, and then it
I
was
figured
like
that
it
was
was
just
still pumping stuff through the
sound.
It does.
audio.
It gives it's a sound, right?
Yeah, and it's like
a-
just turn it all off, dude. I don't need
I
to hear
know.
any of that. Like, it's a cool party trick, and like
Yes.
anyone that comes in the car, you're like, check it out, like,
Yeah.
or I took a video of it, dude. I took one video. I was trying to take a video with my left hand, and I was like doing the race start, and I take off, my phone just flew into my face because it's so fast.
It's one of the fastest cars I've ever driven. I mean, 0 to 60 wise, or even like a rolling start.
Also, probably one of the most expensive cars you've ever driven.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, it's up there. But I mean, to the point of like where you can feel your eyeballs moving back in your skull a little bit.
yeah, it's definitely
it's
like
fast.
and it's instantaneous. That's the thing, right? It's
Yeah.
like you have it all there, and that's fun in a different way, right? I mean,
It definitely
it's-
is fun.
Yeah.
I would love to drive a Plaid and a
But
Lucid, but
that stuff it grows. That grows like kind of that goes to the back of the line of like things you need really fast.
oh, for sure.
Like even having the car for a couple days, I was like, it was fast, but
I
you're
mean,
like,
how often are you romping around on your Polestar?
yeah, not really,
because
And-
you're also worried about range.
and my Polestar felt like an anemic 4-cylinder after being in this.
It's funny, right?
Um,
And that's a really
crazy.
fast car.
Yeah.
So the thing is, so it kind of goes back to one question, and it's like, how are electric companies going to, like, for example, how is Mercedes going to make like this AMG
Well, they've
EV, right?
added
Like,
sound to it.
what else? Like, what do you get, right? Because like,
yeah.
there's this supposedly the Sport Plus setting, like there's like some handling thing, but
There-
like
yeah.
otherwise, like what else? Because if you're looking for,
So if it was a smaller car, I think there would be a lot more things they could do.
Which
Like,
they make.
I think already the AMG S Class is a dumb thing, anyways. Like I don't want the full AMG pack like stuff on an S Class
Yeah,
because I want it to be a luxury thing.
I know.
So I
like
already
one-
think that's kind of silly
Best of
anyways.
both worlds,
and
right?
the AMG-ness of it is kind of just the power aspect.
Yeah.
Like an AMG S-Class isn't a full AMG product. It doesn't feel like it. But I could see with like
This certainly doesn't.
yeah, with like an E55 compared or an E63 compared to a normal E-Class,
yeah.
you could do a little more with like the handling and stuff, and they would probably make it a little
well, it's like you have a couple things, right?
Dynamic.
You have they're trying to do the sound because historically you got the V8, right? You get the AMG V8 is
Does
one thing.
feel-
Although you have other AMG
Yeah.
products, like the AMG, the GLA, right? The GLA. That's like it's like an eager puppy car. Like it's got the crazy revvy engine. It's powerful, but it's also very like stiff, right? It's like a little rally race car thing. And then you have on the opposite side, or on the other end, the opposite end of the schedule, the spectrum, you have the AMG kind of hot roddiness, right? But without that engine sound, without the V8, like you have to replicate that experience
Fill it
through
somehow,
some other
right.
thing.
I mean,
right?
if it's power, it did it, right?
It's
This thing's
power and then
powerful
aesthetics,
as
I
hell.
guess, right? You got the carbon ceramic brakes, you got the different body kit, you got the different black trim and like stuff like that. So it's like it's starting to become like the AMG trims, right? It's not so
Yeah.
much like an AMG car anymore. It's just like historically you have like the S lines and the R package or whatever.
Yeah,
You
I
know?
kind of think Mercedes has an easier task than say like BMW would too with like an M car, because Mercedes is like,
They're more Teutonic.
yeah, and it's more just like you got a big engine,
Yeah.
and kind of that's it, really.
Yeah,
you got a
it's
big
rare.
engine and maybe a little sportier seats. So
Some
They don't
aesthetics to
offer
them.
manual transmissions.
yeah,
There's
and I think
no
they kind of did
small
the job
cars.
with that in this. Like it's fast as hell, right?
Yeah.
I really like the wheels, by the way.
I like the
don't
wheels a
mind- I don't mind-
lot.
I would prefer them not to be black, two-tone black silver. I'd like it to be like maybe like a graphite and
That would be
silver.
cool,
or
yeah.
That'd be
something.
cool.
Can't
I liked
imagine.
them a lot though.
They're
I
cool.
think they look great.
They're really, it's a really cool detail.
Yeah.
Like they're angled really cool. They're like
Yeah.
propeller-esque kind of.
Yeah.
I did some research trying to figure out if, and I thought I had heard something about this coming out, but if they're actually going to offer an S-Class electric only, they offer a hybrid now, but just the same car with an electric power plant. Everything points to this is
It
it,
feels like this is it.
which is such a bummer because
I know.
otherwise I don't know what the future holds for an S-Class. Does that
No,
mean that they're
it's
only,
going to die off?
or can they just make an S-Class with electric power? Like
Well,
why?
and then they would
why not?
they would have to make a new chassis, which they already did for this,
I
with
know.
no hump in the floor and all that,
But
right?
could you like, yeah, so it doesn't look good.
I mean, it would be great if they just made, rather than making an EQS, if they made an S-Class, a real S-Class.
Yes.
Like, yeah.
Be amazing because it would have all the same benefits of, quiet and
Being a
instantaneous
car that
torque
you've like a 911, you've evolved and turned into a better car
Exactly.
over like the last
yeah,
100 years
because
or
they're
whatever.
making an electric 911, right? I mean, that's the rumor.
At least
So-
hybrid. Yeah, that's
At least hybrid.
Next
Like-
one will
like
be
the Corvette.
hybrid, and then the next Boxster is supposed to be all electric.
Right.
And, Cayman.
And so if they can do it on a little car like that, like you have a big platform, I don't know. It's it'll be interesting to see what happens.
Yeah,
But
it's got presence. I mean, it's interesting to like walk out of and look back at, and it like everyone like I had a lot of looks, and like actually people were really positive about it, which is interesting. Again, right? You think of like who the buyer
Yeah.
is. Non-car people want like this crazy, sporty, futuristic, like latest tech thing, and I wonder, yeah, like if they like all of these little naggles that we have, like especially with like the touch points and like the door handles, like if that becomes apparent, or if people are just like, oh, this is what it is.
Well,
you
if
know?
you're looking at
No.
like Tesla people,
Yeah, that's exactly. If you're
Yeah.
coming from that world, it's like this is just what it is,
Yeah.
right? And you're also buying in, and a lot of the AMG cachet has been just that, right? It's like you're buying the top of the line, unfortunately, right? You see around here, and it's like, all right, or in Silicon Valley, it's like, all right, all the G wagons and all the everything. It's like people who are never using those cars at their full potential, they just buy that one because it's the one that shows.
and now
that
a
they
lot
can.
of that, the money, you can say, oh, look at all these party tricks it has. Look at this. Look at the
For sure.
lights. Look at
Right.
the noise.
and
Like,
that's the
listen
stuff
to
that
it.
they think they need to have in order to appeal to this buyer.
But I'm there with you. I mean, I wonder why this departure, right? Like, I mean, it's maybe my only guess is cost, right? Like maybe there's an angle here where they're like, shit, you know what? Like we're producing cars. There's an opportunity for a much bigger margin here based on what our customer base, right? And so
Yeah.
it's probably way cheaper to produce the AQS as it is.
And there's definitely other markets they're appealing to,
It feels like a Chinese market car.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you guys like the material, like that weird gray fake leather?
The Alcantara.
Like not really
Wanna be
Alcantara,
Alcantara?
but
I know
it
it's,
had,
like, it's
me.
flat.
it had
right?
normal Alcantara in another area.
Right, and the
This
center
is more
console.
like a flat,
Yeah.
like
It didn't bother me.
non-glossy.
Well, it's like it's almost
leather.
like supposed to simulate like a very worn leather, right?
Yeah,
But it's
yeah.
like it's
Yeah.
a trippy material, yeah.
How'd you like the carbon? Did it
It
meet your
was-
standards?
so the carbon was fine, but did you notice how bad the finish was? Where like on the flip up lid, the facing area, you can like it wasn't painted well. It was just like you could see where like the carbon met the plastic substrate,
Yeah.
and they have a little silver tab to use to open it, rather than like they should have made that silver tab extend to cover that seam, the whole
Oh,
seam.
gotcha.
It was really poorly, especially for a car for 160 grand.
Right.
It was like almost like an aftermarket piece in a lot of ways. So
This is the other thing I was thinking about for a car of 160 grand. Oh, I see what you're talking about. It's a center console.
Oh,
door.
yeah, I see what you mean. It's
the-
not finished. Like
the
they could have even
edge.
added an aluminum trim piece.
That's
there
what
or
I'm saying.
something.
They could have just extended
Yeah.
this aluminum trim piece. Could have been like
It
had
just-
wings
yeah.
off of it and gone the whole.
So what Lane's
whole length.
describing, it's almost like just like a raw edge, right? And like it's
Yeah.
not finished. It's not
Yeah.
covered. And
So what I was going to say is, going back to the price and the finish, we need to get to a point, especially on a car like this, piano black plastic needs to go away.
dude, I don't
The
know. I don't
mirrors
understand.
were so cheap and chintzy, didn't meet the whole vibe of the car. The front, the whole nose is this plastic, which is going to be so pitted,
Right, the
shaft.
barrel, yeah.
Hazy, scratched. It just is such a dated
I mean,
look.
but it's also this is the disposability thing, right? It's
It
like
is.
in 3 years, this car is moving on, and like
It has a
doesn't
4-year
matter.
warranty, by the way, and that is like it for that car. You
Right.
would be crazy to be
Yeah.
out of warranty.
I wonder
on
how
that.
much. I mean, obviously, like the Germans have been really kind of like at the forefront of like compostable materials and like all of the
That's
decomposition shit. Like,
definitely not it.
I wonder
And
what they're doing with
none
this.
of the Audis and Porsches have that. It's all like the flat, decent plastic on a car.
Yeah, this
like
was
that.
a trim package, by the way. Like all that black shit was
Yeah.
like something you pay for. Like that didn't come
really
that way.
bad. Those mirrors were so cheap. I mean, you just
I actually really like the paint.
do you?
Yeah,
Oh, I
I'm not
didn't-
a satin black guy normally or whatever, but like
satin gray.
it's satin gray or just satin, I guess paint in general. I
Matte.
meant like it was actually really cool.
Matte
Like
gray.
I thought it was cool,
Really?
and
It
it
looks
had
like a bad rap.
no, I liked it, and it had some depth to it. Like it was really metallic. I felt like in certain light, and
It did have metallic.
and it turned
depth?
color. It changed color too. Like
I don't
But
know
not compared to
about
like
that.
regular paint.
well, no, I mean I thought it was cool.
It
though. I
got
liked
darker
it.
and dark when it was dark outside. and it got
Lighter.
Well,
Lighter
it turned
light.
like very blue for a second there. Like I don't know. I thought it was interesting. It
It
wasn't
seemed like a
it's-
lack of color. It was just like again going back to the appliance.
I didn't think it looked horrible, but it was
it's
one of those
interesting.
things. I mean, it's just not good. It's just hard to maintain, and
I
That's
think like a
something
really
it's-
sharp silver, it would have looked.
it was
amazing.
well executed as opposed to like Jaguars we've
Yes. Yeah.
had.
Yeah.
And it was all composite body panels.
I figured
All the doors, the trunk, everything's composite.
it's for lightweight. Let's
Yeah.
keep it lightweight.
And then that trunk spoiler had like the gnarliest gaps. It was very Tesla-esque.
Or is a very Cadillac CT5 black one.
Yeah. Yeah. It was just like, it felt a little bit like, it felt like, Lucid or Tesla where you're like, oh, well, they've only been making cars for like 2 years. This is
Totally.
pretty impressive.
Totally.
For just making cars for 2 years.
Not
kinda
only
thing.
that-
Just didn't have that like, hey, it's fucking Mercedes. You're Mercedes, guys.
Not only that, like this is, and I know they've made some other electric cars, but this is their big splash that they've been working on for years.
Yeah.
And it just came up as like a.
I know.
I think what another thing I was thinking too is that, like most electronics, I want to see the next version. This is their first go at it, and I feel like the whatever you want to call it, version 2.0.
That might be the smaller one that's out now.
EQE.
The EQE or
Yeah.
whatever.
But even just this in 4 years,
yeah.
I think will be a totally different car.
I mean, let's hope so. But, and that's not saying it's like a horrible thing. It just has like a lot of like, it's weird that most of our complaints are things that Mercedes gets right in their other cars.
Exactly.
It's so weird
Exactly.
that
And-
they forgot how to build a car.
And give it a frunk. You've started this. You have a car without the need of an engine.
Dude, at least let me open the trunk to put windshield wiper fluid because it is not acceptable to have that
is
little door on
crazy.
the outside
That
of
is
the
really-
car.
Dude,
That's
all
like,
of that whole thing just to
that
get-
is such a freaking afterthought.
Yeah.
Like gross. Like talk about not luxurious, dude. That is like,
yeah, it's bizarre.
That's bizarre. Let's do trivia, huh?
yeah.
Or is it luxurious though for the right buyer?
Hell no.
Well, it's like it's no effort, right? Like it's like getting under the hood and like all of that.
Oh, I see
like,
what you're saying.
Versus
That's-
like right there, it's like convenient, right?
Yeah, yeah.
It's not attractive, and I think it's incredible to have to put like to design all of that into the fender, like just for
crazy,
that fucking
dude.
thing. It's wild.
All right. It's trivia time. I have a couple questions for you guys. You ready?
Ready.
Okay, good. Bugatti Chiron service costs. Did you guys see this? This came up on my my Instagram feed recently. 4-year major service. So annual service is one thing. This is every 4 years the major service comes along. What's the price?
What is a major service entail?
That's probably oil change, maybe coils, maybe transmission fluid, filters.
I don't know. I have 4 in my head because you said 4 years. I'm gonna say 40 grand.
40 grand.
40 grand.
He's not phased, dude.
I'm gonna
I think
say
it's gonna be way
15.
bigger.
15. Art is closer. $34,000. Well, you know, that's not too much. All right, let's get right up to it.
It's a $3 million car.
Yeah.
4-year extended warranty. So
Oh
this
man,
would-
that must be like 700 grand.
700 from Lane.
I'm gonna go with 500.
Art wins, but not real close. $204,000.
Oh wow, that's cheap.
And last but not least, engine replacement.
Oh my gosh,
800 grand.
that's the number I had in mind.
You guys are right on. 856, 406,
Wait,
and 98
Did a
cents.
car need it?
98 cents.
Or
This is just the drive had like service
Breakdown?
costs.
So $1 million for an engine. I mean, it's like a very, very.
It doesn't
very,
specify
very
if that's parts or labor. I'm hoping it's both. But I love how it has 98 cents.
variant.
I mean, dude, that's like $100,000 car. That's like an engine being 30
Yeah, which is super
or
common.
25 or something.
Yeah. Last question here. Larry Ellison, the founder of Oracle, owns Lanai Island.
Tony Stark.
Lanai? Tony Stark. He bought the island and goes there sometimes, I guess. He got a speeding ticket on his own island while driving what car? What car does Larry Ellison drive?
Well, I know he has a GTR.
A Nissan?
Yeah.
Huh.
But
But that recent?
I don't know. I got him carbon for one a long time
Like
ago.
fucking 20 years ago?
Larry
Larry Ellison, I think he's number 10 or 12 on the richest
so
person.
it's like a Prius or something.
I don't know.
What is the Ford hybrid thing?
Ford hybrid thing.
Fusion. Ford Fusion hybrid. It's obviously not that.
Like made me shiver. No, not that. Is your guess
or
really
can
a
you give us?
Prius?
Yeah, I
Can you
was
give us a
saying
guess?
Prius.
Is it sporty?
Sporty.
Oh, it is
sporty.
sporty. Okay. I'm going to say Mercedes AMG GT.
Okay.
I'm
Or
gonna say,
GTR or something.
BRZ.
PRC. Okay, so I'll give you one more hint. Think Hawaii rental car.
Oh, Mustang convertible.
Very close.
Camaro convertible.
Closer.
Corvette.
Corvette convertible. An orange C8 convertible
Okay.
is Larry Ellison's whip
On the island.
on Lanai.
Yeah.
So he was pulled over for speeding and running a stop sign. The police officer watched the or the body cam footage, and it's so funny. Such a
But he
Hawaiian-
owns the island?
Yeah. Hey, no one's above the law, Lane. Come on. And he said, I have no excuse. Yeah, I was speeding. I was trying to get home for dinner. No excuses. And
Other people live on this island?
Yep. They have
I'm trying to remember which one Lanai is.
they have a Four Seasons. I think there's 2 Four Seasons that he owns
Right.
as well. And basically everyone who lives there works for the resorts.
This sounds crazy.
Awesome island. And he bought it for like $100 million. The entire island in Hawaii for $100 million. People buy
Wow.
like houses in Beverly Hills for
Yeah. Only $100 million?
Yeah.
That's so cheap.
But I think it needs like everything. Like it needs like a water plant.
Needs like a new
Yeah.
toilet.
And head gasket.
head gasket, repaint, multiple golf courses and all that stuff. But
Wow.
Okay, yeah, that's always confusing because there's a couple that are not populated, right? That are
yeah, there's a leper island too, right?
Upper Island, yeah.
Molokai or one of those.
Yeah, there's there's Kahoolaua.
And then there's Niahu, which is over off of Waikiki.
That's insane, dude. How fast was he going?
That's
Did
the
it
little
say?
tiny one.
Didn't
right?
say.
Huh.
There's like Puwai or something. The little tiny.
Yeah.
There's like but yeah, I'm
Anyways,
very surprised to hear that. But yeah, just like owning, how does that work, dude? I don't get it.
it's a thing. C8 convertible.
You think that for a place, what is the population of that island? Like 3,000 people?
yeah,
like
maybe,
you would
I
think
bet it's
that-
less probably.
2,000? You think
Yeah.
the cop would know who that person is? And
I mean,
it's like it's just
He
weird.
may have, but at the same time, like he's got to stop people who speed, and
and he's just paying back into his
But like, what does it mean to him? Larry Ellison?
Yeah,
Oh,
same
for
thing.
sure.
Inconvenience, right?
It's just the stopping. Yeah, like he was trying to get home for dinner. Now he's late.
But I think I kind of, my respect for Ellison went up a little bit, where he's like, yeah, I have no excuse. Like, yep, write me a ticket. Like,
right.
yeah,
He wasn't like Spike Ferriston saying like, "Do you know who I am?"
exactly.
Trying to get into Lufka Cult.
I know Ellison had some cars back. You know, he had a bunch of like
he had a bunch of
supercars, and
crazy
stuff.
yachts, and amazing woodside house. And,
Yeah, he's got. I mean, shit, like the Oracle race boat or whatever. I think he actually kept it.
By the way, we didn't
awesome.
mention the new GTR was.
Dude, I mean,
came out.
I mean, it's what do you call it? It's what's the word I'm looking for? It's revolutionary.
Yeah,
It's
for
really,
sure.
it's really going to change the industry.
Good.
Yeah. How many years in production? Since 2008, right?
2008 or 7.
Sweet, dude.
That's a podcast.
Yeah.
All right, see ya.
Bye.
Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Later.